And we're back for part 2 of today's podcast because my T-Mobile Wi-Fi took a crap. I don't even know where we left off. We were talking about marriage.
You were talking about marriage with the older generation.
Oh, yeah. Well, there's pluses and minuses, or pluses and negatives, positives and negatives, I guess you'd say, to the way it used to be. Missy and I were just discussing it when we thought we were still alive, that back in my day in 1980 when we got married, it was for better or for worse, for richer or for poorer, and it actually meant something. But like Missy says, back in the day, things were different and guys used to smack women around a lot more and it was acceptable and everybody turned a blind eye. Never happened in my household because, like I said, if a man ever put his hands on me, I'd plant him right where he stood. But like everything just, I don't know if it's technology that screwed everything up, but because it makes it easier to cheat. And cheating in my book is flirting even online with somebody. That's a big red check mark in my book. Punishable by divorce. I would not accept it. Yep. I would never actually hurt him. He'd just come home from work one day and there'd be no trace of me ever being here. I'd clean this place better than the CIA, But what do you think? What's your take on marriage? Oh, you were looking up the stats. That's what you were doing, Mason. I'm sorry.
So in 1980, the marriage rate was 10.6 per 1,000 people. And in 2024, it was 6.2 per 1,000. So they dropped a little bit.
Yeah.
Not that much.
And that was marriage or divorce?
Marriage.
Marriage. Okay. And what are the divorce rates?
Divorce rates in 1980 were 22.6 per 1,000. So over double what the marriage rate was. And in 2024, the divorce rate was 2.4 divorces per 1,000.
Okay.
So less people are getting married, but significantly less people are getting divorced.
Do you think they're just not getting divorced, or do you think they're just stepping out and everybody's doing their own thing? They don't want to go through the legalities of splitting things up.
They're not getting divorced because look at the sickening number of people who are in open relationships now.
Yeah, just look for the pineapples in their yard or the flamingos.
Not flamingos.
Yeah. Flamingos is a swinger thing.
Well, upside down.
No fruit or bird is going to be in my yard.
No.
I got a butterfly. Don't nobody get any ideas.
You
Yeah. My bad.
We know your secret now. It's all over.
Not like that.
So what is your take on everything, Mason? You're how old now? 26? What does your generation think about marriage?
Most of the people our generation.
Only me. You were born in the 90s.
I was born in the 1900s. Go ahead.
I guess I didn't that voice for now.
I just feel like most people in their 20s don't really even think about marriage anymore.
Yeah.
Why? What are you thinking about?
I was raised very different. I believe in marriage and everything like that.
Well, yeah, you were raised by me. I have very strict marriage rules, though,
Yeah, but growing up, I guess, because a lot of people, our generation, also grew up from broken homes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it's kind of being able to see your parents in a successful marriage makes you want that.
I remember
we were the weird people in school that our parents were still together.
Yeah, I remember Jimmy coming home going, "What is you guys' problem?" I was like, "What are you talking about?" He says, "None of my other friends at school have 2 parents in the house. They have 2 Christmases and 2 birthday parties." I was like, "Well, maybe you should go live with them then."
So you want to come from a broken home.
Well, he wanted to fit in.
He also wanted
2 Christmases and 2 birthdays.
Little did he know it would give him a pancake and say go to work.
You and Ryan are both in your 20s. So what's Ryan's take on marriage and
Well, I grew up in a very traditional family, so it's
What?
He's had a seizure, that's okay.
Yeah, I hit my microphone.
Oh,
I grew up in a very traditional Catholic household, so it's very much like there's not really any line in between just getting married and having 2.5 kids and a white picket fence. And
yep.
but no, I don't personally am not interested in any of this new age relationship formats that are going around.
Mhm.
I know plenty of people who are in
Mhm.
certain situations. I know a lot of people who are not with their significant other, kind of like what Missy was saying, that they're no longer with them but don't want to pay for divorce.
Yeah.
And then a lot of them, I mean, I'll even talk to someone and be like, "You've been together for 12 years. Why aren't you married yet?" And they're like, "Oh, well, we do this, or we want to do this instead." And I'm like, "Okay, it's their prerogative."
Mhm.
See, even though I'm 62 and I came from I guess you could call it a Catholic home. That's what I was baptized, supposedly. But my mother and father were married for 2.5 years and got a divorce. So I came from a broken home, so I didn't have all that. I watched my mother struggle and try to raise 2 kids by herself, you know? So I can't fall back on, well, it's tradition in my family to stay together through the hard times. I had to, I guess, pull that out of my ass and figure it out for myself. I guess the secret to marriage, in my opinion, is to always remember why you fell in love. What attracted you to that person? Have they changed? Have they gotten better? Have they gotten worse? But you just got to remember the sparkle in their eye or the way they smiled at you, the crooked smile. That always gets me, the crooked smile and the sparkle. You guys are just goofballs. They're sitting over here all making faces at each other.
Or the way they put the dishes away.
No, my man don't put dishes away. He'd stuff everything in the same cabinet.
The way they don't wash dishes, or they put them in the dishwasher.
Or the way I don't have a dishwasher.
I'm talking about Tanner.
At
Yeah.
Tanner.
Yeah,
Shout
at
out.
Tanner Kruger.
So what's a deal breaker for you? We'll start with Missy. I always go to Mason because he's like right across from me. Missy, deal breaker. What would make you tell Tanner to
Besides, like the obvious,
Kick
like,
rocks.
cheating.
Yeah, like.
well, besides cheating? Cheating is just a given. I think anybody,
If he would hit me or get abusive with the kids.
yeah.
Down the line,
I was
you're
gonna say I can't use that word.
Or
She got a lot of red
I
flags.
think that's, when me and Tanner got together, I told him right from the beginning, like, me and Marcello are a package deal.
Yeah.
If you don't accept them, you don't get me. So if it would ever turn where he'd be like, no, they're not allowed here, or no, they can't do this, no, you can't do that, whatever. If there was like causing some kind of divide between me and Mia or me and Marcello
Or like
or the kids and
Yeah,
Mia.
like
or,
saying like if he didn't see them as, which isn't true if everyone's listening because he does, but like
Yeah.
sees them as his own kids.
Yeah.
Like sees like his own kids that you guys have had.
and he'll
and then
slip
as
up once in a
outsiders.
while and he'll be like, oh, I've got 4 kids. I'm like, no, you have 6.
Yeah.
You take the whole
Yeah,
package
but
or you
he
take
just,
one.
Tanner is from Minnesota and he wouldn't say shit if he had a mouthful of it. He doesn't want to overstep and claim something that he really has no right.
taxes.
Not me and Marcello.
Did you tell Desi that we're back on?
Something like that. We have 3 listeners.
Okay. Ryan, deal breakers.
I don't know. I'm very upfront. I give a whole list of things. The biggest one would be if you ever were, because based not on personal experience, just people I know, is like they get into a relationship with someone like 3 years later they get stale and all of a sudden somebody wants to go open up more. In the beginning, I laid that in black and white and said that the moment you even think about doing that, you can do that
All by yourself.
by yourself in a studio apartment somewhere
Yeah.
far away from me.
Yep, kick rocks. Mason, Deal breakers.
I'm categorizing them from severe to least severe.
What is the
Severe.
most severe deal breaker for you besides cheating? That's an obvious.
Talk
Well, at
about
least in my
Well,
family.
I was gonna say
My
that's not an
family.
obvious.
In my
Because it-
family.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
there's a lot of people out there like, oh, he's cheated on me 37 times. Oh, go get an STD check and then go to the lawyer's office and get a divorce.
Yeah, boil that thing.
Yeah,
I think one of the biggest ones is don't talk garbage about my family.
yeah.
They're my family. I can talk garbage about them all I want.
Yes.
You can't.
Oh, that makes me feel confident in motherhood.
You're fine.
I think I agree with that one. I think that was one thing. Is like if I'm frustrated with my parents, I can be the only person who can say something
Yeah.
about them.
Yeah.
You like
I always used to say that about my mom
if
too.
I'm and I there's plenty of times I have been and I'm like upset about it, I do not need the significant other trying to be like, yeah, you know, your mother did this.
I'll
no,
vent about it to you.
But then
you
I'm
just
gonna
better
turn
be
my anger
ears.
I can-
on you. Be like, no, what
Yeah,
are you saying?
yeah,
Like,
I
shut
can-
your mouth.
Why'd you think that's about?
Yeah.
yeah, you can listen to it, but
What
if
else
you
you
say
gotta say?
something, it's
Yeah.
gonna become an issue.
Yep.
See, when my mom was here, when she was alive, I would have my little idiosyncrasies that I was like, oh, it drives me nuts that she does this. It drives me nuts that she does that. But Dad would never say a word. He was an ear. You know, he'd be like, well, it is your mom, you know.
Or just pretend you're a wall and don't say nothing. Don't even make a facial expression.
No, yeah, because even a
'Cause
facial
it's-
inspection.
yeah.
to
Don't-
agree or
If I'm
disagree.
venting about my family, I better not be able to tell the difference between the facial expression on that wall and your face. Like, you just better be.
It's so hard for me because I talk with my face.
Me too. My
Yeah.
eyes say it
More than
all.
my mouth. I talk with
But
my
if I
face.
vent to you about family, that's one thing. But if I
Yeah,
vent
we
to
kinda have the same
Tanner
one.
about it,
Tanner better look the same.
Yeah, if
That's
you
what
didn't come from the same blood as me, you better not say a word about my family because then it's
don't even have an opinion. Don't even think it.
No.
I know when you're thinking it. Don't even
Look
think
at me the same way you look at the electric bill.
it. No.
No, that's all. Oh, shit.
Trying to say we're shutting it off.
Just one single tear.
We're going off grid.
Well, what happened?
I keep looking over at my my Wi-Fi to see if it's still a green light or a red light.
I have a question though.
What?
Do you guys believe that people watching certain videos or movies,
Are we talking porn?
yes,
Okay.
is that considered cheating in your book?
No corn in my family.
Mm-hmm.
Same.
See, Dad and I have had this conversation. I was like, you know, you can be honest with me. You can tell me. And he said that it makes him sick. He
Can't
says,
even like if there's a war movie on and there's a girl in like this Vikings outfit, he's like,
yeah, Dad will cover his eyes.
yeah, he'll change his channel.
Yeah.
Hunting.
But that's out of respect for me because he doesn't want me to think that he's interested in anything else.
Or even like with how big social media is now. Like I think checking out other people's profiles and their pictures and stuff. That's the same as stepping out.
And see, Dad and I have this understanding, I guess. He knows that I would never cheat on him, and I know he would never cheat on me. Because otherwise, just talking to Bill and Gunnar when I was doing radio shows with them and stuff, that would have been a big, huge issue, But it's not. He knows that I am
Talking to other people
content
in like
here.
a professional manner is another thing than talking to people like, oh, you want to go out to the club tonight?
Yeah, I was gonna say
And-
that's different.
Oh, I would
So-
never.
You're talking about how the fact that like Bill was a guy and
Yeah.
I think that's different because it wasn't like a relationship.
But in the beginning, when I was talking to Bill and Gunnar, I had to, just out of my heart, I had to go to Dad and be like, they're just friends, right? And he goes, yeah, I know. And I was like, I have no interest, right? And he goes, yeah, I know. I
But
said,
also,
we share a commonality, which is paranormal,
there has to be like a different level of respect for and trust in people in relationships, like with you and Dad's in construction, me and Tanner, like they're in other women's houses every single
Oh, that
day.
used to bother me because
Yeah.
when we got married, I was 17 and I always used to go, oh, who'd you work for today? you know, and I was like, oh, he's in a different house every day. And that whole jealousy thing at 17,
I'd be more
that's,
afraid of roaches coming in.
yeah, I worried about that too.
You're replaceable.
No, actually, I hate carpet. What do you have like envisioned in your mind for a perfect relationship? What is it going to take till you're ready to get married? You're next, Ryan. Where do you need to be in your mind and your heart?
See, I had this whole game plan in my head down to the minute, but then people in my family started dying off. And
Yeah.
I kind of realized, dang, maybe the world's not going to cooperate with my game plan I have in
It
my head.
never
Yeah, because I
does.
remember we go on door dashing and we talk about timelines by like this
Yep,
age,
by
this
this
is going to
age,
be
by
done.
this age,
then
by this age.
Well, that's when you were really hot and hairy about nursing school and everything else. I know you still are, but you have it on the back burner right now.
not by
Right,
choice.
not
But
by choice, but
No, it's getting cold though.
What?
That back burner.
you're still in summer.
It's getting cold.
Oh,
You need to heat it up.
well, yeah, that's because I had to pay off my student loans. You're not gonna go back. But yeah, I realized actually on the drive home from Yaya
You can
going up
say
to
it.
the hospital when she died.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm good. I'm healed.
I had a
Ish.
very long
Ish.
discussion that after all of that happening, it made me realize that if certain people aren't there to be at my wedding or see my children, I would never forgive myself for waiting so long.
But don't rush that though,
No,
you know?
honey, I can barely pay bills.
No, you're well in advance on your bills.
Yeah, I'm not where I want to be financially.
Don't ever let anybody think that you're, Skid Row.
No, I'm good. I'm chilling. I don't have 32 kids.
Me neither.
So what would it take? What?
Honestly, at this point in my life, just a career job, one that pays me a good amount of money where I know I'll be able to survive.
But aren't you ahead of Survive now?
He wants a
For
career, not a
myself.
job.
Knock on wood.
Yes, but if what I'm saying is a career job where I know I can support a family solely off of it.
And he wants a career, not just
What
a
if
job.
your significant other became terminally ill
That's what
and before you married them? Wouldn't you live the rest of your life in regret going, we could have done this as a married couple? And
no matter what you do in life, you're going to have regret.
And I don't really think that like we could have done this as a married couple is like a real thought in my head because like
The only difference between
Your
a married couple and a
relationship-
not is a piece of paper.
your relationship I don't think changes all that much once you get married.
no, I need to interrupt you here. I'm sorry. I need to interject with what Missy just said.
Objection!
What did you
Overruled.
just say?
The only difference, okay, mine and Tanner's relationship, the only difference between our relationship right now and marriage is a piece of paper.
Actually, no. To me, when you take your vows, you are making a promise before God.
You can make that without that piece of paper,
I was
though.
supposed to say that a long time ago.
No, because you can turn around and
I'm with mom on this one.
I don't
Oh, see,
know.
I'm missing.
I do think that maybe it holds you mentally, even subconsciously, to a higher standard of not like I have to make this work, but I have to work harder because I promised God I would make this work.
well, see, I never put it.
Pick this season.
Yeah.
I
I
never
never like it.
I
Yeah.
never
I
put
know
it.
I'm right.
I never put it down in my book, Fire Within Me, about the things that were going through my head when I met your father. That's when how I met your mother.
No, the newer one.
Oh, I never seen
It
that.
came out like that.
Anyway, when I met Dad, there was a lot of things going on between the spirit world and an abusive situation that I was living in. and I didn't think I was good enough for Dad. And I literally prayed to God that he was the right one. And hang on, I'm good. No, this is still too fresh. What? Yeah, yeah.
Oh, I was like, honey, you got married 45 years ago.
Too soon. But I promised God that I'd take care of him for the rest of his life.
See, with me and Tanner, when we met, I was like, yeah, like we talked, whatever. But I was in the mindset, like, you don't like me, go somewhere else.
See, I feel like that might be one of my, I feel like it might be a toxic trait, but also maybe not. I'm the type of person who right away, I lay out the good, the bad, the ugly. This is what I want. This is my 5-year plan. This is my 10-year plan.
Yep.
And also, I know my worth.
Yeah. Yep.
If you can't accommodate what I need, and if I can't accommodate what you need, because I don't expect you to just bend to me.
Yeah.
I can bend and wiggle a bit.
Yeah. Not much.
Sometimes,
but,
maybe.
Yeah.
Not in the morning because my back hurts. But yeah, I lay everything
I still
out.
tell Tanner this to this day. Like he'll make he's joking around and make a comment. Go. But you know
I
what?
say that on the outside, but
yeah.
I remember the first 10 years of my marriage to Dad. I don't know. I was scarred from being, 2 years old and my dad leaving. So when you were 2 years old, I was like sitting there with my arms folded and I was just kicked back waiting because I thought that was just the way life was, This prick's going to be gone in 2 years, with any day now because she's 2 years old. It was some kind of daddy issue or something, but he grabbed me by my shoulders and shook me and he says, I am not going anywhere. And I had to make a joke out of it and say, is that a threat or a promise?
Yeah.
But
I know with Tanner, we're in it together. We get we fight. What couple doesn't?
Mm-hmm.
If you don't, you're hiding it.
Well, if you don't fight, they've got nothing to fight for.
If you don't fight, you're obviously not open enough with your communication.
Or you've got something else going on somewhere else.
Yeah. Either you don't care about the relationship,
or you fight with somebody else.
Yeah. Who you fighting with? But I know, no matter what, and we've been through some things in our 12 years being together. We've been through some really hard, tough patches, but we always say, all right, we'll get through this, and we get through it together every single time. Tanner will look at me, he's like, we'll get through it, don't worry.
I'm not going to lie,
there
are times that I sometimes think that I replaced his mother, Dad's mother, because I have to point out, when you were eating that sandwich over at Arby's, you dripped your sauce on your shirt. Go change your damn shirt. And then I got to do the stain treating. And, it's like little things that I have to keep. It's like having a ninth child sometimes. What? Say what you're laughing about.
The one time, I forgot when it was last summer. And Dad, so he spilt through 2 of his shirts.
Yep.
Yes.
The button up and the undershirt.
He has no luck. I told him I'm going to get him a terry cloth bib.
I took him downstairs to the laundry room. I was like, let's resolve this. Because he was like, oh, Mom's going to throw a fit when she sees this. And then I was like, okay, let's resolve it. And then went downstairs. I handed him the bottle of Resolve, thinking he'd go to the bathroom, put it in the sink, take care of it. He turned the bottle around, spritzed his shirt. He said, that's good, right?
Yeah, that's my man.
Yep.
He's kind of a caveman, if you will. I told him when he's going somewhere with me, I ask him to change his clothes because he always looks homeless. But
he works 7 days a week.
He's in construction and he works 7 days a week. He's 68 years old. He kind of reminds me of how, who was that? Howard Hughes, the rich guy that used to walk around dressed up like a homeless person. Yeah, that's my Wayne. He looks homeless and unkempt, but I still love him like a comfortable old pair of slippers, you know.
Mia and I were talking. We went to the store the other day, and she's picking up all these like crazy Hawaiian shirts, and she's like, "Tanner, how about this shirt?" He just like looks back at her, rolls his eyes, and keeps walking. Like he's like, "Okay, that's just Mia." And she's like, "Well, every time like we have time for Tanner to dress up, what's he gonna wear? A white T-shirt with a black dress shirt. Like that's just what he wears. Like it's just you can depend on that as much as you can depend on Dad being in work clothes. Like."
Yeah.
Yeah. Mia's like, what about this shirt?
No, your
Yeah,
dad is
flamingos
too
and
cheap to buy new
unicorns.
clothes. He's so cheap that in kindergarten he stopped growing because he didn't want to have to buy new clothes.
Mm.
That's why he's only 5'3". I didn't hear you.
That was a skinny legend in kindergarten. I can go back to that. I
Oh,
was skinny.
I was skinny up until I was 21.
you're still skinny. What do you weigh? 110?
I was skinny.
25, 130.
Oh my God! Do you know I haven't weighed 125 pounds since
I know.
before my car
You can sell me
accident?
next summer. And it's okay.
So do I.
So do I.
2 of you have boobs.
Well,
Yeah, Ryan.
1 of you has
Oh.
boobs.
Yeah.
yeah, I'm
Say, what
sorry.
two in the room have them? Because it's not me.
Yeah. I wasn't agreeing to that. It
Oh.
was an awkward yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
another thing that Dad does that drives me up the frickin' wall. I love him, but God help me. If he goes to the doctor, he has to take off his construction boots to be weighed. And then he'll take off his hat. And then he takes off his belt. And then I'm like, why don't you just get naked,
I
you
empty my
know?
pockets and everything. Too.
He's like,
I'm not taking
these
that extra
boots add
pound.
5 pounds because they're steel-toed boots. I said they add maybe 2. Well, we were both wrong. They were 3 pounds. But every pound
Yeah, I'm not
counts
taking
with
that
Dad.
extra pound. I'm with Dad on that one. I'm emptying my pockets. I don't want the nurse to giggle. Even when I'm pregnant, I'm taking off. If I have layers on, I'm taking layers off.
It's your time to exit.
Yeah. Get out. It's
Oh,
one person on the
please.
scale at a
Do you
time.
have a table to put my stomach
Yeah.
on?
You're all so thin. I ain't gonna lie, I'm 150 pounds and I'm 5'5", and that's because after the car accident I couldn't wait. Mason, my boobs did not gain weight too. They've always been here, and okay, I mean,
Hey, wait,
so we'll take a
wait
few
something.
pounds off of the
Put
boobs.
the scale on the table. Let's throw them on the table. Let's see what they weigh. Like yours weigh more than me.
It's the only thing I've got going for me.
You can have mine.
Oh, please.
Right. Okay, off topic, but it's a relationship thing. Whatever. Right. Bra shopping the other day.
Oh.
I chased the kids around because there was a bra that each cup was like this big.
Was that me and you or me and Haley that put the giant,
Twins.
ginormous
Yep.
bra on our
Well, I
heads
found one like
and
that.
strapped it together? We ran around Walmart.
I strapped Merrick and Maverick together. And they're like, Tanner turned beet red and one tried walking out of the aisle, but no matter where he turned, there was more bras. So
You burn him mine.
I don't want to touch nothing. And then
Yeah.
Mary picked out a bra. She goes, "Look, Mom, we could be matching." Shut your face. But she picked up like an A and then a D. I'm like,
Well, she was giving you
Which one's
credit.
mine?
well, she actually put the hanger up over her head. She was walking around the aisles with the bra on. It was really cute.
You should have taken pictures of that. That had to be cute.
It was adorable. Tanner was like all but ready to like rip his skin off, and he's like, "You don't need one yet."
Oh yeah, that's a dad.
Abandoned
Yeah.
serving life.
Yeah.
So, what are the pros and what are the cons for marriage? I'm going to start with Ryan this time.
Marriage or relationships?
Yeah, I was
I don't
gonna
have.
say-
I don't
marriage.
have. I don't have many pros to the marriage part. That one didn't
Yeah,
go very
I
well.
don't.
I mean, looking ahead to your life, your individual situation.
Well, I can make a joke and say the tax break, but
And you save money on
if
your
if you're
car insurance if you're married.
if you're in the
it's lower.
a relationship with the right person, I don't see. I guess in my head, if when you find the perfect person, it will get there eventually. So there isn't like a pro or con to it because I like going into it. No, I'm gonna be there already. So
Yeah.
that kind of already goes into
Well,
the whole thing.
I'm going to interject again and say that one pro that I have to throw out there is if you're in a relationship, oh my God, my tongue just went backwards. If you're in a relationship with somebody and there's a medical issue with your significant other, they are being rushed in, they're going to pull the plug on that person. If you're not married, you have no say.
Yeah, I already solved that. Practically married over.
Yeah.
Do what?
You just tell them.
Or
They
we
don't
don't.
ask for
I said I even
license.
have documents.
Well, if it comes to pulling the plug,
Yeah.
yes, they want proof.
yeah, but like it can be like anything from like hospital or like financial things like loans.
Well, what if your significant other's mother is a complete bitch or their father is a complete ass and they say, you have no say?
I don't know.
Yeah.
That's an interesting.
But also, like, if it comes to
I would never do that to
something
somebody.
like that, like pulling the plug and not pulling the plug, I don't want that on me.
Yeah.
I don't want that
But
person.
as the
like,
mother, if somebody was going to pull the plug on Mia, God forbid, and to
okay,
put that away.
okay, no, that's your kids and your significant other are two separate entities.
So what she's
But
saying is,
what I'm saying is, okay, Missy, Tanner is laying in the hospital. He's dying. They're going to pull the plug on him. He is brain dead.
Mhm.
Tanner's mom says, we're pulling the plug right now.
That's a really
You
good
have
question.
no say.
That's on her then.
I would say that's a good question.
That's
But
on her.
you have no rights.
I
What
don't
do you
want
want?
that right. I don't want that right. Because
But shouldn't it be discussed with you because you've
Well,
been
it
with him for
should.
how many years so
and your
far?
mother and children.
and I mean, Tanner's mom would never like
But what if
discredit
she
me
did?
from that situation.
What if she did?
Then that's on her.
I was gonna say
There's nothing I can.
You'd give up that easy?
If I'm not married to him, there's give up. There's nothing to fight
I was
about.
gonna say follow-up question. 'Cause
Okay.
now I'm switching sides on this. Because like what we were saying, like I was agreeing with you is that when you get so far into a relationship, financially, children, been together forever, yes, I think that you guys, like people like in families and stuff, like even in this family, I will mention someone's significant other as their wife or husband.
Yeah.
Mason's heard this. I'll be
Yeah.
like, oh,
I hate it so much.
Tanner calls me his wife all the time.
Because I think if you don't go through the motions of getting married, you do not deserve to call that person your significant other like that.
Yeah.
Your husband or wife.
But what if you were
Because-
just about to get married
No.
and the mother of the victim, the one that's being the plug pulled? What if the person? Okay, let's say that your significant other, Mason, was laying in the hospital bed, dying. They are going to pull the plug. They're like, we need somebody to give us the permission. You said you're not pulling the plug. That's my significant other. I love that person with all my heart. And their mother was like, it's my call.
But also,
I guess
getting back onto the person's completely brain dead, not going to come out of this ever again. What is the point of keeping them alive?
They said that about my cousin also. He was in a coma for over 6 months. They said he had less than a 1% chance of ever being able to walk, talk, or do anything ever again. Yeah, he has a lot of issues right now, but he can ride a bike, he can walk, he can talk.
But also that situation, like completely brain dead, gonna die. That's an easy one.
Mhm.
If it's a situation where it's like, oh, we had to put him into a medical induced coma, and if he comes out, he might
won't be the same.
he might be wearing diapers.
Yeah. It's-
And then Linda comes up and yanks the plug
it
out
gets
to plug in
hard.
her hearing.
It gets harder when
Yeah.
it's like, okay, he will wake up and may or may not be able to do like
Or
his functions
quality
like
of life
driving
will
a
be
car.
changed.
Yeah, that's when it gets gray line.
Yeah.
But of course, there is
But
documentation.
also,
to
there's
change
not
minds.
many people on his side of the family that will go toe to toe with me. about
But
that.
you don't know that because a life or death situation flips
changes
that
people.
coin and they change on a dime.
Well, they also know there's few people on the red and white support.
Yeah.
Like,
Nah, I don't think they care.
I think for me, if it was like you were with someone for 10 years, not married, and that happened, God forbid. Well, would tell you I'd be the one making the decision.
Yeah.
Don't care who I have to hurt.
Yeah.
But definitely it goes into like I don't know, like for me, like even now at like 23, I have like documents that were all signed and stuff of somebody that if I'm like incapacitated, who makes the decision on my behalf to kind of cut out
So
that
a
middleman.
DNR.
No,
No,
that's
it's just
not
like
resuscitated.
it's like if,
Oh, I mean, what do they
Living
call that? A
will.
living
Yeah,
will.
so
That's
it's
what
like,
it is. Sorry.
I cut that out when I'd be like, okay.
She already said do not resuscitate.
Yeah.
She's got her on there.
She's
She's like, he's got a DNR, don't worry.
I gotta charge my phone. Hang on.
I kind of did that to eliminate
I
that.
do a
because
podcast, unplug this.
no matter what happens to like me personally, there is only, no matter how many people are there, there's only one person in that room who is legally able to make the call.
Yeah, but
on my
also
behalf.
once you get married, that
Oh yeah, that changes.
Well, yeah,
But
but up until
That's
that
if you
point.
Up until
stay
that point.
on the mark and keep up with your
Yeah.
documents.
Yeah.
Don't
yeah, I get
procrastinate.
switching
I personally, I have 8 kids. If God forbid anything were happening to Mason, I would sit down with this significant other if that question was, brought to my attention, and I would have a serious discussion with them. Are you still willing to be with my son for the rest of his life, even if he is a vegetable?
I want the potatoes.
So then that brings up a side question. I don't know how I get these. But say, does it change for you?
ADHD.
Since you have 8 kids, does it change for you? Like I'm thinking like if I had 8 children, what I would think. If like, say like one of your kids fall into that, God forbid. And then they've been with their significant other for 10 years, that would be different than another kid doing it who's been with their significant other for a year. Would that change for you?
It depends if they were living together and if I know their relationship, if I know their heart, if I know how they both feel about each other. Like Missy, God forbid anything happens to her. Tanner and I would be sitting down discussing what are we going to do. And I would say,
I don't know.
that is my daughter, and I
Oh,
am,
what do you want me to do, he'd say. What do you
Yeah.
want me to do?
no, yeah. See, then we'd let you live on because we couldn't make up our mind.
Mom would never.
I say,
Oh no, that's not
I
my.
don't see Tanner ever pulling the plug
That's
either.
not my place to pull a plug. I would never pull a plug on my kids
yeah,
or my husband.
You're like I'm
That's God's choice.
See, if I was put, I hate to kill you off, but
He's pulling the plug, I
I got a
guess.
crock pot to plug in.
I guess I have to get some paperwork in
my
order
phone's
because
on.
you better not pull the plug on me.
My phone's on
No.
20%.
I
Thanks, Ryan.
I personally don't like the idea of pulling the plug, but I know for me that I'm going to have this all written up. If my quality of life is not going to be at least 95%,
Yeah.
I don't want to live. I don't want somebody to have to wipe my butt or change my diaper.
Yeah, like if I come out
I
of
would
it,
want
I
a
would have to
nurse.
be
I
able
don't
to
want
speak.
my children to do it or my husband.
So you fully, no matter what condition you are,
I want to
you
live
want if you don't have
because
arms and legs and you're pooping in a bag,
And you can't talk.
see, now we're
she
getting.
talks too much.
I
She has to talk.
I don't-
I don't think God would do that to me.
I don't know. You handled it better than I probably. I was just thinking about like if I was in your shoes and that happened.
Yeah.
The status of how long they were together would definitely play a role in it.
Oh,
for me.
yeah.
The other thing is, well, at least I know personally, like with me now, with the same document that I have, is like I know on there, like if I am under certain, I think I put down like if it's like wiping butt or something or like that. On mine, at least, I've given like the full okay to pull.
But also, wasn't it last year you said if it ever got to the point where I couldn't go to the bathroom by myself, put me in the garage,
That's because I know y'all can't afford a private nurse for
put
me.
me
If
in
you
the
can get me a
garage
nurse,
and-
then let me live, you know?
I'll get you a nurse.
Mine was like if I'm bedridden or a vegetable, if at 23 years old, I want to be out. I don't want to live the next
Mine-
60 years in a bed, not speaking.
My main one, like if I can't go to the bathroom by myself, put me in the garage.
Or if my
shopping.
face is deformed at all.
And if I can't,
No,
if I
you're
can't,
still same person.
If
No,
I'm
I'm
just-
too vain. If I'm ugly, I'm dying.
If you get mad at me, I'll be just like, shut up, Mason.
Exactly, coming out.
Yeah.
And if I can't talk, like if I can't tell you,
I
like,
feel suffocated.
yeah. And if people are talking to you and they're moving you and doing this and doing that, and you can't tell them like, no, stop, like,
Yeah.
no, put me in
That's
the
one-
garage, go shopping,
That's one of my big ones. Is like
start the car.
if I can't
Give me a Sharpie.
even like being even being this young, if I can't move or speak, my quality of life is already
Yep.
on the fritz. Therefore, I don't want to live the next 60 years in that way.
My thing is like, if I can't talk, I can't tell my kids I love you, good night. Can't go to their their school functions. I can't go.
Yeah.
And who wants their mom rolling up like this?
It's more of like, I guess,
But I can't roll myself. Somebody else has got to roll me, and I can't talk, and I
Get that
can't.
whole thing you go into.
I guess there's a difference because for you as a mother of young children,
I don't want my kids to see me
but if you
like
were,
that.
let's say, can't walk but can still, I can understand like if you can't talk, can't walk, but you still can like register memories and stuff and not communicate it. I understand that. But even if like,
I don't want to be stuck in my own head.
yeah,
I'm already
I
there.
get that point, but I'm saying like if you were like completely paralyzed but can still communicate, that would like you can still go to function, you can still say you love
Yeah,
them, that
like if
changes.
I'm just
So it's not like
messing
it's not
myself,
like the
that's fine.
physical. It's not like the physical issues you have. It's more of like the memory part of it. Of like I want to be able
Yeah.
to like tell my kids I love them. I want to
Yeah.
go to their lyrics recital and watch her sing or something
Yep.
like that.
I don't care if I'm a
graduation,
broccoli.
like, "Ooh,
Yeah.
that's my kid."
I don't care if I'm a broccoli. You better keep me alive. Have a private nurse pushing me around in a wheelchair, changing my Depends or whatever I have to have. This is still my family. I still have to be here.
My
Well, you
point.
need that in writing.
Yeah, that would require.
And also, you have to pick the power of attorney.
I've got one for you. Well, I already did.
Okay.
It's you, Bugaboo.
He's pulling the plug.
No, I will abide by any of her
His
wishes.
crockpot needs to go.
Yeah, but he's also going to seal off my room and shrine it.
It's gonna have
You
plexiglass
were
on
selling the
door so
house
you can
anyway,
see
so-
His crockpot's gotta be funny. He's gotta be turtle, you might say.
And it pulls at 20%.
Okay, here's a different scenario. You guys all were there for when Yaya passed. If that were me, what would you do? We had to go through the whole meeting with the hospice, and they wanted to know, do you want your mother to stay in the hospital? Do you want your mother to go to a hospice facility, or do you want her to go home?
Yeah, I would say home.
But home would require a nurse around the
mean-
clock.
I guess it would depend.
And what if my insurance, would Yaya's insurance have covered that?
Yes. They already have it
They were
approved.
gonna-
That's why it's
Around the clock?
They were gonna send her home when she was too unstable.
Yeah.
I guess they already had the
Because she would have
hospice
died in
people.
transport.
Because her husband was like, I can't take care of her, da, 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 you know?
Or you had them like-
Uh,
The nurses and everything.
Yeah.
from the house.
Well, they weren't even there. The hospice wasn't even there in the end when they were supposed to be,
They delivered the bed the day she died.
No.
Yeah.
Day before?
the day before she
2 days
passed,
before.
yeah.
Oh, no, it was a couple days before. It was the day after she went into the hospital.
No, they weren't there.
The hospital wasn't there. I mean, the hospital bed wasn't there when we took her to the hospital.
The day after she went to the hospital.
I could have sworn it was like
It was the
2
next
days
day
after
because you
that.
got mad at me because I was at the hospital before and getting everything off and ready for it.
And that's another thing, Tanner. I wasn't mad at Missy for going there to clean. I was upset because you had worked all day that day and you were there taking care of your kids and she wasn't there. I just felt sorry for you, Tanner. That's all.
But if the same thing was happening to anybody in Tanner's family,
It would be reversed.
he picks up where I need to step out
I understand
and I
that.
pick
I
up where
just,
he needs to step
I always feel sorry for Tanner.
Everybody else feels sorry for Tanner, but I'm the one that's got to deal with everything else. There's
But you know what? Like
I
they
feel
say in
better.
the
I don't feel sorry
military,
for either of you.
like they say in the military or to cops, you signed up for this job.
So does Tanner.
He did.
Yeah.
He could have kept it in his pants.
Tanner knew what he was getting into way before we had kids together because we're together for almost 2 years.
I'm just too soft. I always go for the underdog, you know? That's why I married a guy that's 5'3" and
That's 'cause
not
he
the
can
guy
walk
that
under a dog.
not the guy that I was dating that was, 7'3".
Height doesn't make it better.
No. Good things come in small packages.
Where's the Amazon?
Okay. Anything else you guys want to talk about with marriage? Oh, or even relationships? Do you are you an advocate for marriage? Are you
For
the
some people,
stay at home and forget about it?
for some people, like marriage might be for them, but not with the person that they're with.
Yeah.
Some people I feel like that they've been together so long that there's no other options for them. But
Stop talking about your mom and dad like that.
yeah, I am definitely an advocate for a marriage for the right people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that.
It ain't for everybody. Some people be a hoe at
It's
heart.
not for the weak.
Yeah.
Let me tell you.
And some people are just willing to give up too easy, which I don't understand because if I want something, nobody's going to stop me from getting it.
Yeah.
Um,
You are your mother's son.
mhm. But I think that might be an issue with people nowadays is they just give up too easy. Nothing's worth fighting for.
Oh, I ain't gonna lie. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it and pretend everything's all peaches and cream and sunshine and roses and lollipops over here. Dad and I, for the first 10 years, fought like cats and dogs. We split up over a dozen times where I said, get out. And I made him leave. He continued paying my rent because my kids were in that house. And he got the kids every other weekend. And he had no choice. You fix your schedule, and he had no problem with it. He picked up his kids. He took care of his kids. Um, I just felt like at the time that I had missed out on my teenage years and my fun, I never had a chance to have my own apartment or anything like that. And it caused a lot of friction. But on a side note, in the back of my brain, I think it was I wanted to beat him to the punch. I wasn't going to get dumped like my dad did to me. I was doing the dumping, But there were times he had to live in his truck because he had nowhere to go. But we pulled our shit together. We had to, and basically it was me and my shit, I had to get my head straight and go, this guy is harder to get rid of than dog shit on the treads of your tennis shoe. He's not going anywhere, He's had ample opportunities. I've kicked him out how many times? And he just keeps turning up like a bad penny. And I had to say, okay, fine. I'm doing this.
Mm-hmm.
And here we are 35 years later. The first 10 years were hell.
Oh,
So 10 plus 35.
Missing something. 10 years to be exact.
The rough years.
Yeah, they were rough. And I'm not, I saw other guys while we were split up and Dad saw other girls.
Mm-hmm.
And I still bring up Linda.
Cats and dogs.
But the thing is, she told me right out because I met up with her in the parking lot of Walmart with Dad. And she goes, I'm big, fat, and pregnant with number 7. So that was you. She's like, oh, is this your wife? And he goes, yeah, this is my wife. And, she was a friend of his family and his mom couldn't speak highly enough about her because he went out with her sister before me. It was a big thing. And when we first met, his mom busts out the family photo album with all the pictures of Kim and Linda, and Dad with his arm around Kim. That was his first girlfriend. And I was like, yeah, nice. And I just wanted to set the bitch's hair on fire. But that's another story, another podcast. But, she was just like, oh, my name is Linda and I'm Kim's sister and I've known his family forever. I said, good, bye. And she's like, oh, are you pregnant? I'm like, oh, well, duh.
No, I had a heavy lunch.
Yeah. And she goes, is this number 1 or 2? I said, number 7. And she goes, oh my God. Well, I didn't let Dad live that down the rest of the day. Oh, you had to hug Linda, Oh, yeah. Well, he brings stuff up too, but.
Ooh, no, fucking axe.
Yeah, I know. That was just.
Your fingers would have been cut.
There was
off and
probably.
shoved in your ear holes.
There was probably flames shooting out my nose and my mouth and smoke coming out of my ears.
Actually, the fact that you went They're strange to you, man.
Well, she was like,
What's the strange-
Wayne, is that you? And he's
No,
like, yeah,
Raoul.
that's me. And then
Raoul.
she runs up and hugs him. Number one, you see him with a fat chick. Okay, immediately
She's
thinks
either
she's
hungry or
pregnant.
angry.
Yeah.
Don't do it. Approach with caution.
Yeah, I used to be really violent when I was pregnant too. I mean, I was ready to snap the bitch.
That's why I'm like,
Kelly Dumpster.
yeah. She rammed her shopping cart.
Yeah.
Plus this Walmart on my forehead.
But yeah,
Pictures of the nights.
As soon as Shannon and I got together, I said, throw 'em away. If you have any,
oh, his
throw 'em away.
mommy held on to him because Kim was perfect.
I don't like that. She's so cute.
Yeah.
Burn the house down.
She's
Well-
my grandmother, but
Yeah, you know the whole situation with her. She used to come over after work, and Dad worked construction, so we never knew what time he was going to be home. He could get home at 9 o'clock at night, and she'd stop by, walk right into the apartment because we lived in one of those 4 families. Walk right in and go, "Hi, what are you making Wayne for dinner tonight?" I said, "I don't know. He's not home." And she's like, "Well, it should be ready." I said, "And then it'd be cold." She says, "Well, keep it warm in the oven." I said, "Then it'd be dry." You know, I was 17. I had an argument for everything. And on weekends, she would, like a Friday night, she'd just walk into my apartment, walk into Tony's and Missy's room, and start getting clothes together for them because she was taking them up north. Number one, you're 100 yards off of the freaking lake. You are not taking my children without me. You know? But she insisted, and there was just constant, But 45 years later, I'm looking back going, but she was concerned. She was always, you know, in her son's life and always wanted the best for him, you know. And we were too young to get married. We got lucky. Well, not really. We put in a lot of work. We put in the hours. You know, she was the one who said, it's not going to last 6 months.
yeah, I also think that she was kind of trying to be as uncomfortable as possible. So
Oh, yeah.
she was trying to push you out
Oh, yeah.
by killing you with kindness.
Yeah, we got married December 26, 1980. On April 5th, she threw a big wedding for us because she insisted we have a big wedding. And she bought my dress, which she picked. She bought my flowers, which she picked. Yeah, basically. And I let it go, you know. But then my maid of honor, which was my brother-in-law's wife, had a problem with me. She was jealous because we were getting attention, me and Wayne, because we were a new couple. And she tried picking a fight with me at the wedding, at the reception. And my mom came walking into the room to see what was going on. And this girl pushed my mom. And the next thing I know, I had a handful of her hair. I had her on the floor and I was beating the living shit out of her. And Wayne's mom came in and said she was going to call the police. I said, you go for it. You know, it was just really turbulent in the beginning. And I told Dad after a while, because it just got to a point where they wouldn't leave me alone. They nitpicked every frickin' thing I did and said. And I just got to a point where I said, well, it's either your family or me, you know? And he picked me. He still has a brother out there somewhere, but both of his parents are gone, you know? And he was there for both of his parents. I didn't, you know, make him stay away. I was even there. I was willing to put down, you know, throw down the gauntlet and just be like, okay, truce. But I made my peace. Now, are you guys, are you, all three of you, ready for that kind of, you know, family drama and
Mother-in-laws?
Yeah.
They're not all like that.
I don't know. Yeah, that's
Short
true.
distance.
Tanner's from Minnesota, so Missy doesn't have that mother-in-law drop-in situation.
We had a rocky part.
Yeah.
but she knew I wasn't going anywhere, and I made it very uncomfortable for her, so it just stopped.
I think my handicap was that I was 17.
Yeah, it was mama's boy.
Oh yeah, but you're a mama's boy.
Yeah, but you're also not controlling any aspect of my life.
No, I let my children live their lives.
Did I
I'll-
not respond to one text of hers and then she sent out the emergency text to the family group chat? Yes. But
But she don't run my life.
sure. No, I just check in when I get home from work.
Well, see, Mason
Show
and
him
I
the
have
light.
this relationship, and he's basically, well, Missy does it too, for the most part. There are times that she forgets, or the kids get, whatever. She can't always, but that's just my insecurity. I have this
You don't
thing.
set
I
the
tell
first word
everybody.
if I don't text you though.
I tell everybody, text me when you get home so I know you're safe. Mason always does it. Last night was the first time that when he got home from work, he didn't go, I'm home, or at least write the word home in a text. So I was like, frick, where's Mason?
I was in
He is not working for 12 hours. Something is going on. So I went on the group chat on Facebook Messenger and I was like, has anybody heard from Mason? He didn't text me after work.
Yeah, because I was
Minutes later, Mason texts, I'm home.
like, oh shucks, I'm in trouble.
I believe it.
Mhm.
Got off of work at like 7 and then instantly just went home, walked into the bedroom, fell asleep. And then I didn't wake up until like when you sent your good night text at like 11 something. I
Yeah.
was like, ooh.
I was like, okay, well, I'm sending it to either him or his ghost. I don't know. But good night, Mason, wherever you are.
Then I woke up. I was like, "Good." I just shot up out of bed. I said, I didn't text mom. Yeah, you don't know my life.
I don't, though. I don't tell you what you're doing is wrong or right.
No.
I don't tell you. I may
do that.
You'll show me something, and if I don't like it, I usually go, well, that's different.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to find a new word because now he's got me figured out. But.
Oh,
We've had you figured out for years.
yeah.
We just finally told you that we knew
I
that.
think we even wrote a book.
Yeah.
What's up?
Oh, no, that's.
Anyways.
That's just lately that for the past like 5 years, I don't know what it is.
15.
I breathe a lot to exhale just to get rid of like anxiousness in my everyday life. I'm just like, and Marie is like, used to think that I was making fun of her driving, or Missy used to think it was that I was frustrated with her driving or something like that.
I
It's
think I
not.
got that from the closet.
Yeah. Okay, that's safer.
Anyway.
Yeah. There with the microphone.
Okay.
Anyway, okay. We're talking about relationships, so picking on mom.
But Tanner's not a mama's boy.
No.
If you want to see mama's boys, I can show you a mama's boy.
I haven't spoken to my mother in weeks.
Anyways.
Anyway,
I love my son.
that's different.
Let's get back to the topic at hand.
Tanner doesn't mean mom's voice. Definitely.
He could
His
go a
mom-
year without talking to her and he wouldn't care.
No.
He talked to his dad more than his mom.
Yeah.
I think he was worried about his dad.
Now that his dad's gone, he talks to his mom a lot more. Ask anybody in his family. He's a mom.
Missy, I'm putting you on the hot seat. What's stopping you from marrying Tanner? Ooh,
Money.
why?
Because I'm not going to do a courthouse wedding. If we're going to get married, we're doing it the way I want it.
Jessie and I were just having that conversation. She said that, I don't know where she came up with the $40,000 number, but she said, I could buy a car for that. She said she's too much like Dad. She can't justify spending big amounts of money on a
It
wedding.
doesn't have to be a big amount of money.
Well,
I mean, I guess I'm more of a
The renewal
well,
of
I
vows
appreciate
that we did in the year 2001, that was a $10,000 soiree.
See, I think as long as the
And I regret it.
I think as long as the ceremony itself, like all in all, is under like 20 grand, it's reasonable to me. But I'm also kind of a little backwards with it because I don't care about getting married before living with somebody, clearly. But I think you should own a home or at least have a plan, like a game plan of owning a home
Yeah.
Yeah.
before you get married.
Well, Dad and I always had a game plan of buying a home too, but kids happen and things happen and, health things happen. And there's always going to be something. That's just like the person that says, I'm not ready for kids yet. Nobody's ever ready for kids. Nobody. You think you are. You may have the finances. You may think you've read every Dr. Spock book and every, looked at and researched everything online and think you know it all. You could take in foster children. You can adopt dogs, monkeys, whatever you want, but you are not ready for a baby. You are not ever ready.
I also think that the people who read all those books and stuff like that, it's wasted time. Because, I mean, I don't have children, but I think that when you have kids, kind of the best thing to do is get into it and wing it.
Yeah.
Every kid's different.
You got to fly by
What works with
the
one
seat
kid
of your
is
pants.
not going to work with
That's
another
right. Kids are
kid.
like snowflakes. No two are the same. I found that out the hard way.
And if you squish them, they disappear.
There goes the wedding again.
Yeah. Gotta wait another 6 months.
No, none of us were ready for kids. Dad sure as hell wasn't ready. I wasn't ready, but we did it. What are you going to do? Send it back?
Question.
Okay.
I mean, you both have kids, so if you if you were young again.
Turn back on. Okay, I'm going to beat him with this microphone in 3, 2,
Young
1.
and hip.
Okay, if you could turn it back to before you had kids.
Yeah.
Do you think that you would have do you think that you should have kids earlier or not earlier than you did? Not earlier than you did.
Yeah, seems how I had my first child at 16.
Do you think that you should have your kids in your 20s or wait till you're in your 30s?
I think the younger you have them, the better, because you grow up with the children and
You have more energy.
and patience.
And I don't want my kids to graduate in high school with a 75-year-old mom.
Yeah, that too. Well, personally,
You're going to be like 60. You're going to be like, when she graduates, you're going to be like 60 when Georgia graduates. High school.
But that's
Missy's doing the
not
math.
too far off the
Do
mark.
do 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 do
But that's not too
do.
far off the mark.
Tanner's mom is the same age as Yaya.
Yeah.
I don't know how those ovaries still work. It's that Minnesota water.
Yeah, well,
So 10,000 lakes.
Yeah,
Which
there's
is
a lot of
lies
water.
about.
Yeah, there's no 10,000.
It's raining buckets.
Like
Yeah.
I had Tony when I was 2 months. Well, no, it wasn't like 4 months before I turned 17. And then Missy. I mean, how old was I when I had Desi? Like 36. So those were the perfect years.
But
Do you know that I was perfectly fine having kids? All right. I grew up with my kids. I learned a lot of different things having my kids that early. When the grandkids come around, it's like a half hour and done. I'm like, my patience level is like, are you going to get that kid out of the tree or am I going to just break a branch off and beat him to death?
We're gauging how much energy and patience and everything we have with Tony versus with Desi.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then like not even like the birth of that last one. The going to school concerts and
Oh no, I was
for
done.
field trips.
See, I had my kids in groups of 4, the 4 older ones, and then the next generation, the 4 younger ones. I would send Missy. I was like, okay,
Missy went to one of my concerts. Vinny went to one of my concerts.
Yep. I said, take videos, show it to me. I couldn't
I went
handle
to
all
those
those kids
before.
around me.
Dad dropped us off at our Christmas concert. Sweatpants.
I was at work.
That one.
I was at work.
Everybody's wearing dresses.
Yeah.
You wanted your dad to
You
wear
wanted to wear a dress?
No.
Mason wanted his dress.
Yeah.
Giant ball gown.
Yeah.
You,
He's up out there.
do you think having kids earlier or later is better?
I think it all has its pros and cons.
You can keep
I
up with them
didn't-
better when you're young.
I mean, I still keep up with George the same way I kept up with Mia.
Yeah, but is your patience less?
With Georgia compared to what I was with Mia, no.
Well, that's when-
What I don't know. It all has its pros and cons. I didn't like, and I guess it's gonna be different for everybody, but like where I was at that point when I had Mia in my life.
Yeah.
So I mean, who I was with, where we were, all of it contributed to like I was a lot more short fused, not with Mia and Marcello, but with just everybody in general, because I was unhappy with every other aspect. The only thing I was happy with in my life was Mia and Marcello.
Mhm.
Yeah.
If I would have taken them out, like picked them up and put them in a different equation with me, I mean, I don't really see a difference between like Mia at 2 and Georgia at 2 with me.
Mhm.
But also like different kids work you different.
Mhm.
And
I
don't get me
think-
wrong, I don't have regrets that I had you kids,
Yeah.
but if I could, like Cher says, turn back time, I wouldn't have kids. Only because what I see going on in the world and the price of raising kids and
Well, I mean, it's
when
not like you have
things are
kids
rough,
anymore.
and like we had quite a few bad years where Christmas was basically non-existent and I felt like a piece of shit that I couldn't provide for you.
That's why I was saying, like, before I did that, I would make sure that off of one person's income, that can float the whole family.
Yeah.
So if one person drops dead or loses legs or something, the family can still function with one income.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And checking savings accounts and 401ks are your friend.
Yeah.
I do have to tell you that being a granny is a lot easier than being a mom
So you can send
because
them
I can send them bitches home.
You
sugar them up and send them home.
That's what I did the other day. Oh, she didn't really sugar them.
Yeah. But I don't know. I see how my kids parent and versus how I parented or what I would do in that situation where the child is picking up a stick and jutting it at another one of the grandkids. And I'm like, put the stick down. And they look at you like, F off, I want to throw my chair aside and jump up and snatch the child and
Well, I'm for sure.
no, I'll toss the chair aside, but I want to snatch the child up by their ear, take them in the house, and say, "Now you don't play."
And then I want to hit your parent. 'Cause they're gonna-
Oh yeah, I've always wanted to beat some of the parents with their children. I ain't gonna lie,
Yeah.
but that's because I ran a tight ship. My kids knew they better not act out.
We were normal kids. We waited until we were in the bathroom to go close and then flip you up by the door.
Yes, exactly. I did that too. But I grew up in an era where I feared my parents. If we rolled our eyes, we could automatically, you better know there's a factory reset SWAT coming right in at your head,
Yeah, I was afraid of you.
Well, that's because I was the disciplinarian. I wasn't going to have kids that I couldn't take out in public
Yeah.
and have them acting the fool. That ain't
I
happening.
mean, it's not. It's.
Dad was all lovey-dovey and,
I wasn't afraid of you because I got beat or
but you knew it was coming.
anything. I swatted twice in my life.
I know you have only been, and it wasn't one time. I think I swatted you in the head because you rolled your eyes at me or something.
Yeah, the Time Warner cable.
Well, it factory resets you, and look at how you turned out.
Stairs.
No, I was gonna stop rolling.
And how old were you? You were like 7.
Yeah. And then Mom felt horrible.
Yeah.
So I snatched the house phone out of her hand.
Mm.
She wanted me to carry it upstairs.
And that's where the saying came from, what that I say even to the grandchildren, don't you dare snatch. You snatch and I'll snatch your soul. No, that's nice.
And
But
like
when
he's
he
being a
grabs it from you like that, oh no, it's
My
over.
soda.
You'll get a fresh one.
No, somebody has a problem with snatching on my hands.
Mm.
And that's when my inner mom kicks in. Like, where's my wooden spoon?
Where's my
Where's
Time Warner
Mr. Happy?
remote?
I'm gonna buy a Time Warner cable remote off of eBay.
I've got one.
Jesus, relics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Never returned it. Maybe. Don't come after me.
Just
They
so
don't
far,
want
yeah.
no, they don't want the remotes back. They just want the boxes
They want
back.
everything.
No, they don't.
Remotes they really don't care about. 'Cause
No.
They send new ones with everybody.
Just like the stuff that I took back to Spectrum last week. They didn't get their
Time Warner
plugs.
cable also hasn't existed.
What you doing?
Scanning a mail file.
Oh,
Found a Time Warner cable.
I
Yeah.
thought that's what she did. I was like, you
What?
smart ass.
No, I wasn't scared of Dad because
Dad is so soft
oh
spoken.
no, Dad would yell at us.
Yeah.
And he would say, "Wait till your mom gets home."
Dad smacked me.
Dad smacked me once.
Dad smacked me because of you. I got factory reset it in the back of the head.
I deserved it. What
I
I did.
slammed the cabinet shut because Mom was at work and Dad was like changing your diaper or something, and he wanted me to get the stuff ready to make your baby foods. I had to get the bowl out and
Yeah.
the jars of food. And I went in there and I opened the cabinet, and as I slammed the jar down, I slammed the cabinet door, and all of a sudden I thought it was God. Right down my head. What? Stop slamming stuff. Okay, God. Okay. Whatever you say. I didn't even see him. He just whop. I never. Now those cabinet doors better be closed properly and quietly.
Yep.
Hey, I got kicked out once because of you.
Yeah, for 30 seconds. And
Kicked
she
out.
apologized.
Yeah, we just talked about it at the cookout.
Oh, when I put your ass out on the front porch and told you, fine, you want to run away? Bye.
No, he didn't. He didn't want me at the
Yeah, I told Lucia that everybody would be better. Everybody would be happier if she was in our family.
Oh, wow. How old were you?
8.
Yeah.
Oh.
Now I have to say it to her face. What are you gonna do?
We're
Mom doesn't scare me anymore.
put you on my porch.
As much.
Drive to my house and sit on the porch.
I'll put you on your porch at night. by yourself.
Vinny said to me the other day, I don't know what the hell happened to you. And I was like, why? He says, you used to be mean. Everybody was afraid of you. If you didn't like something, you told people to F off and you better act straight or I'm going to knock you down and this, that, and the other thing. He says, and now everybody just walks all over you.
I was good. Stop caring so much.
Um,
And you also realize, okay, I
well,
can say
yeah,
this
you
to
know, I'm
this person.
62. It's close to meeting God. You know, I have to get right.
Stop hitting people remote.
But I feel like you also realize that, like, yes, I could tell this person how I feel about them, but then this person's gonna get mad, and then this person's gonna get mad, and I'm gonna have to deal with these people all being.
Oh, yeah, I've got a lot of things that I could, you know, give my opinion on with all 8 of my children. I just don't want you to hate me.
No.
What?
Now I need to know.
Turn the lights off.
Yeah, we're gonna end here.
Commercial break.
If she's not back next week, don't ask questions.
Don't.
No, I've got, you know,
know she
just
knows
like
the other answers.
just like I know that I do things that you guys don't all agree with. But guess what? It's my life. Just remember one thing. I brought you into this world. I can take you out.
Not mine.
Yeah, mom's not ammunition.
Yeah, right. But anybody else, I don't have a problem with telling them my opinion, you know? It's just for some
I
reason,
heard you on the phone with the car company, the car insurance company.
what?
You were a little sassy to him.
A little sassy?
You were.
He was very uncomfortable, to
Well,
say
yeah,
the
because
least.
you asked him if he took your last payment for his pocket change.
Well, I wanted to know where the hell my payment went. It's not on your record. What'd you do? Pocket it?
And then she made him stand in the line until he sent her over like a printed like confirmation of everything.
Yeah, I don't play.
I was like, okay, Karen.
Call it a Karen.
I was like, I have a receipt.
I get
you
shit
can hang
done.
up. Nope.
I want 2 receipts.
Yeah.
Well, when they overcharge, I mean, tell me that the car insurance and medical insurance companies aren't a racket. You can't tell me that they're not, mob owned. Did you lock my door and not be able to
No.
figure it out?
I was turning it wrong because apparently I don't know how to work the knobs.
Mm.
I had it locked and was wondering why it wasn't opening.
Okay.
I thought it was broken.
But tell me that the insurance companies are not mob owned.
Government owned.
No.
Government's worse than the
The
mob.
government doesn't own Progressive.
No.
Neither does the mob, yeah, but still.
You don't know that.
They're owned by-
Maybe charge you more if you didn't pay.
Okay,
yeah,
then they're
or-
trying to
They
be
won't just hurt
mobs.
your credit.
They're trying to be
Yeah.
mobs. I have never. Same with cable companies. Where do they get off charging such outrageous prices?
Because we have to have it.
I don't need internet.
No.
But I'm saying car insurance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to have it, so they know they can charge you $500 a month, and there's nothing.
Well,
you can
that's
do about
another
it.
thing. This little moron was going to let me go. See, the thing that happened is I got a letter saying that I was up for renewal and that I had a certain date that I had to pay it by. Well, I paid it that day, the day that it was, that day. And they canceled me. They said, oh, no, that was, it canceled at midnight the night before. Well, then why don't you fucking tell me it's going to cancel that night?
Yeah.
You said it was going to cancel on the 2nd, so I paid you on the 2nd. And then he's like, gonna let me go until they could figure out, because they couldn't find the payment, but I had it on my online banking.
Yeah.
And I said, I'll send you a screenshot. And he's like, well, I'm not going to give you my phone number. I said, well, you're calling my phone number. Why can't I call you? But anyway, he was going to let me go without it being resolved. And I said, no, you're staying on the phone. I can't drive without insurance. And you're going to resolve it. And if that's sassy, too bad. Mason called me sassy on my own damn podcast.
I just canceled with them and then started a new policy.
Oh, you defeated the renewal.
Yep. You weren't going to charge me an extra $200 a month. So I went through, and then my price went down lower.
Well, I have to find a different company because mine went from $700 a month for all my vehicles up to $900.
But I don't understand how they canceled you, because I go through the same insurance company.
Yeah.
And mine ended May 2nd. And they just sent me a text message saying that my amount, my 2-something was due for May, and my 2-something is due for June, and I need to pay it today to avoid being in collections. My policy ended on May 2nd, so why do I have to pay anymore?
Yeah.
I got charged a fee for my insurance lapsing for 2 days.
Mm-hmm.
And way to tell me, way to send me a text saying, well, we're sorry you canceled your insurance. We hope you have something else.
Yeah.
Because
Whatever happened to insurance being for the year? Now you got to
every 6 months.
Every 6 months, and it goes up every 6 months.
Which is bull.
It used to be like when we were with like the general and stuff, it was like you got a 1 year, here's your 1 year
Oh,
policy.
I told Pedro or whatever the frick his name was on the phone today that I'm going to be searching for somebody else.
They're all like that.
Oh, I know, but their prices have gone up horribly.
Everybody's, even Erie that we were with when we were only paying like $60 a month. We tried getting a quote from them again. It was like $300 a month now.
Yeah.
Well, just in this last renewal, my car went up
Well,
$150 a month.
maybe I should start making my $700 a month, well, now $900 a month payments. Make it worth it. Start driving like a maniac.
Then they'll raise you again.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I'm going to make it worth it. Just like when somebody says, oh, I'm calling the cops. Oh, well, good. We're going to make it worth it.
Yeah,
Don't
with,
test me.
With that insurance company, I just let the policy end, and then I just go in and sign up for a new policy, and it's right around.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to start every 6
months.
months fucking insurance hopping.
Yep.
Screw it. You want my business? Okay, let's see who comes in with the best policy for the least amount of money, which is ridiculous to have to do. I
And
don't like
horrible.
change. I don't like change at all.
It is such a hassle, like trying to find good car insurance that's not stupidly expensive. I called at least 24 insurance companies.
They also make it so difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
And then they sit there and blow up your phone. I'm not paying $400 a month. Lose my number.
Block them.
Not like yelling at them.
No, I don't like change. I got the same 5 restaurants I go to. I don't like trying new things. And Dad's always like, "Oh, we should go here." Like last year is the first time I went to Applebee's in my entire life. And I hated the food. I hated the service. I brought the food home for my dog. And
Well, they're all being shut down anyways.
yeah, that's what Desi said. "Thanks a lot for going to Applebee's. You closed them down." I said, "What are you talking about?" She goes, "Yeah, they shut the doors."
Because they're not paying their mortgage. The mortgage companies are taking their buildings back.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yeah, it has nothing to do with customer service. They're not paying their bills.
Wow.
Yeah.
And was it last week that we went to Burger King? And
Burger King just-
oh my God, no. We pulled up at the drive-thru because I was like starving. I would have eaten Dad's left leg. I was like, I need a Whopper with cheese and some French fries and some ranch dip. And he pulls up to the window. All of a sudden, this monster woman comes to the microphone. All you hear is, "What you want?" I was like, holy shit. And we pulled up and she was no shit. She was an Amazon. And braids whipping around in the kitchen as she's getting stuff together. I was like, I am done with Burger King too now.
It's been like that for a hot minute.
Scared the living bejesus out of me.
The only time you go to Burger King is if you're on hepatocytis.
Arby's though.
Arby's.
Arby's, they have the good mood food.
Yep.
I only like their
Got to be-
turkey bacon ranch sandwich. That's it.
I like their classic slime.
How did we go from relationships to sandwiches?
Because sometimes you gotta eat. In order for Chandler to survive, I need food.
Because for my relationship to survive, I need food because I get hangry.
Yep.
Yes, Mason is very moody when he has an empty belly.
It's because I get a migraine if I'm hungry.
So do I. And then I get mean.
Oh my God. Then I get full, then I get angry because I'm full. Just an angry person.
I was gonna say, some people vary as an understatement. Nuclear would be a good choice.
It's been called the 2-for-1 special.
Yes.
It's a 2-for-1 special no one asked for.
Yes.
But I
Okay.
get coupons out.
Children, how many do you want?
2 to 3.
2 to 3? Boys, girls, both?
I don't like girls because they corrupt people.
What? They're going to shut me down just for your comment.
Oh, I put on there it's 18 plus.
Yeah.
No, I with
I got toilet bowl of
look at how 99% of girls are nowadays. Would you have daughters this day and age?
I'm going to interject again and say that that's because of how they were raised and the insecurities instilled by parents that aren't attentive enough.
But also,
It's also society.
girls
stuff.
being bullied in school is way worse than boys getting bullied in school.
It's society saying that like little girls have to look this way.
Yeah.
Society has 8-year-olds wearing makeup.
Yeah.
There's also not strict enough parenting for some people, but
I know from personal experience that because of the depression that my mother was going through when I was young, I ran the streets and I was
Not in that
fighting.
way.
No, not
Not
like that. I'm saying I could go anywhere I wanted to, do whatever I wanted, but be home by the time the porch light came on or your ass was mine, you know?
Yeah, I mean, just in general, boys or girls, people are way too like willy-nilly with them.
especially
Like even out by where I live, it's a nice neighborhood. It's a safe
Mhm.
neighborhood. You better not leave my yard.
but like I would say
And
girls.
I don't care who else is running the streets and living 4 blocks away and they're coming to my house to play. I don't know you. And why are you doing out here by yourself?
I say girls, it's a society thing because I was just thinking about the when I was with you and you got Lyric that new shirt and we both remember she put it on. We both realized how revealing it was for a child's
Yeah.
shirt.
Yep.
I mean, Missy made her take it off, but we both were like, "This is a kid's shirt."
Yeah.
Yeah, why are there crop tops in
Why do they need
children's
V-necks?
section?
Yeah.
What are
Yeah.
you showing?
It was like Lyrics had a really deep V-neck and the back was open or something, and Missy was like,
we thought we had it on backwards.
"Yeah, we thought we had
it
it
was
on
like
backwards."
because there was like a shorter V in the back, but
Yeah.
a deeper cut V in the front. And I'm
Plunging neckline.
like, yeah, and we're like, maybe it's on backwards. We checked the tag and we're like,
Well, you
oh,
got to be, as a
no.
parent, very, very on top of things because do you remember when Mia was little and we were sitting out on the front porch? What friend of one of the boys was standing there and kind of like looking down Mia's shirt? And we blew a head gasket and kicked him off the land, told him if he ever came back again, they'd find him in my septic system. Do you remember that? Oh my God, we went nuts. And then I insisted that you buy her like crew neck shirts from then on.
Not tank top. Turtleneck.
Yeah.
I was just like, yeah, I think that's literally what Missy said.
But who looks down the little girl's shirt?
It was just more of the. And Lyric,
You're not going to see nothing, but
Yeah.
you know.
And Lyric's not my kid. Her mom was taking care of it, but we both were just like.
yeah, I looked at Ryan. I'm like, do you see this neckline on this thing?
Yeah,
Like,
and
it's
I
on
was-
backwards.
And I was like, is that a child shirt? She's like, yeah, it was in the kids section at like Walmart.
Yeah,
And I'm like, they sell that for a little kid?
Lord.
And like the crop tops, like you cannot find like a full shirt out in stores anymore for kids,
Yeah.
for girls. It's still full price.
My girls wore shirts that if you stood above them and they were sitting on the porch or something, you could look down and you wouldn't see anything. And their shorts, when they sat there and they'd move their leg a certain way, you couldn't see their underwear. They wore longer shorts. They're like the ones that came the Bermuda shorts that came just above the knee. I didn't play games. There was no way anybody was going to harm one of my children.
But a lot of parents let their kids wear that.
Yeah.
I mean, this is why
like,
I couldn't have a daughter because even like my child would never wear it. But like just the rebellion of them like sneaking it in their bag or trying to do some weird way
I
around
check
it,
bags.
I would go completely insane.
I check bags.
First of all, we would not have a good relationship with each other because I would just be the person who's just screaming and they hate me, and I'm like, but
yeah.
Now you're lucky. You're both going to end up. You're each going to end up having 3 girls.
Yeah.
No,
Keep talking a minute.
no.
Hey, I have a feeling I'll pass down the dark hair curly gene.
I said I have.
Let's hope. I want one.
That's what I thought, too.
grandchild. You guys both got to move down.
Technical error. That was a second.
There you go.
All right, I will taking us back to relationships. We already talked about relationships and marriage. My question is, for people left in this room, is so we mentioned divorce a little bit.
Uh-huh.
I guess I'm gonna talk about like my upbringing of it is that I understand like what I was gonna say was like when do you think divorce is appropriate? Obviously hitting stuff like that, but like in my family, divorce is not an option. There is no like my mom's one of 5 sisters.
Yeah.
It is not an option. If you get divorced, and some of them are in relationships that they've contemplated it, it is like complete outcasted, nothing. It's very strict on that. So like would you, and I know that like there's this taboo of, oh, so-and-so got divorced. They didn't try hard enough in their relationship. They didn't, it got a little hard and then decided to back out so quickly.
So when do you think divorce is?
Yeah, obviously not the like go-to, like obviously if he's hitting you, divorce him.
Yeah.
We all get that.
Divorce, man.
Yeah. I'm saying like,
You're letting him off easy with divorce.
yes.
Like
but
I
I'm
said,
saying-
if Dad ever put his hands on me, I'd plant him where he stood.
I'm saying like if there is like all relationships have like you hear like someone got divorced and every relationship has a hard time. Is it more of like the stigma of so and so they didn't give the relationship a clear shot, or is it just more of like if they've already gotten to divorce, then obviously they're not meant to work out, or something big happened, or
I just think that nowadays too many people give up too easy. Like you're playing a game of Monopoly and you get bored with
and
it,
I
and
think
you're
that's
like,
where I go with
ugh.
it is that it seems to be a very quick option
Yeah.
for a lot of people. Is that
it's the go-to.
oh my god, the
They
toilet.
should make it more expensive.
It's like I think like being a little sarcastic, but like they look toilet seat up divorce. Like
Yeah.
it's just very thrown out there
Because
quickly.
even when I was going through my divorce, you're like, oh, you should really try to work through it. And I just-
As much as I
Hate
didn't
him.
like him,
Everybody hated him.
I hated him at the point. And I was
but
doing it, literally, I was doing everything on my own.
yeah,
And that's like I think where I'm at is if you have given 210%
yeah.
and you still can't get through it to it, then I think that's
Do you
Kind
believe
of.
in marriage counseling?
Oh yeah.
For some people, yeah.
yeah, it depends. Because I think if you've done like I don't think that like you're upset, throw in the towel. I don't think you need to then don't get married, don't get in a relationship, stick around with whatever you want to do. Do
Uh-huh.
the dating thing and just swap them out if you want. But if it was I think like if you can single-handedly sit there and be like, I put 210% in and the significant other in the situation isn't changing or hasn't put in the 210% to fix what's wrong,
Yeah, they're not meeting
then
you, like-
I think it's okay to throw in the towel. And obviously we don't work, blah, 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 blah.
But like with like the couples counseling, it's kind of like an addict. Like, me and Tanner going to counseling. If Tanner doesn't want to do the counseling, it's not going to help.
But
Yeah,
then my
it's not
question
gonna
is it to you a chance to fix it or is it just prolonging the inevitable?
Depends
It
on.
depends on
If
the
both of
people.
them are
Both
willing to
willing.
work at it, then it's worth the effort. But if you got the guy sitting there going, "This is bullshit. This is
Or
bullshit,"
even the women. I've
Or
seen
even the
like,
women.
nope,
Yeah.
I'm done.
Well, that goes back to like the 210%.
Yeah.
Getting it.
yeah,
I've seen it work wonders on this.
If you're not gonna
Mhm.
if you're not gonna fight for it and be like, I want this, I want it to work, I'm gonna put in the work, I'm gonna fight 200% on it, then
Then it's worth fighting for. But if the other person is sitting there like, we don't need counseling, everything's fine. Well, it may be fine for you, but it's not
Yeah.
working for
it's
everybody in the
definitely
room.
both people have to be engaged.
Well, I was asking Desi. I was talking to Desi today, my youngest, and we were talking about having things in common with people. Like she likes doing things and new things with Sam, things that he does that she's never done before. And she tries different kinds of meat, like I don't know what's venison and all that other stuff.
Sorry,
Where I'm not that way, that's not what my relationship is based on. I told her, I said, because she said, if Sam goes hunting, she wants to try. If he goes fishing, she wants to go. And I was like, no, Dad and I, we've been married almost 45 years. He's got his hunting. He's got his fishing. He likes to go to car shows. And I don't like to go to car shows anymore because Vinny, Candy, and Dad will take off and go looking at everybody's cars. And to me, that's like going to the mall with no money in your pocket, looking at things that you wish you had, but you don't. I sit by my car and I'll talk to people that come up and show an interest in my car, but I don't care what you have.
Yeah.
And I don't want to go hunting. It doesn't interest me. Just like ghost hunting doesn't interest Dad.
I think it's
It's
healthy in a
okay to
relationship
have-
separate.
Yeah.
That's what I said.
It's very okay.
Because
to
if
have
you're
separate
together
things.
24/7 and dressing alike, you're going to kill each other.
Because I think that's okay because there's definitely stuff in my relationship that we'll do separately that we aren't engaged in. But then there's also the new things that either neither of us have ever done.
Yeah.
We both want to do it.
Yeah.
Or like, for instance, like the pumpkin thing. I've never been to a pumpkin patch. So like
That
stuff
was
like
so
that.
cool taking you to, and it was Sam's first pumpkin patch too. And it's just not a tradition that you guys ever had, I guess. Just to look at your faces and watch you taking everything in, it was pretty cool. But I told Desi right out, it's okay to have separate interests. Dad and I are total opposites. He likes north, I like south. We don't have the same likes. And she's like, well, where do you come together? I said, at home.
It
You
can
know?
be as simple as like different shows.
Yeah.
Obviously, you aren't gonna like the same shows he likes. He's not gonna like the same shows you like.
That's why he's got his man cave. I have my
That's why you
office.
buy 2 TVs.
Yeah, there's one sit there watching Vampire
Yeah.
Diaries on repeat.
And you don't wanna watch-
Dad's not in love with Damon.
And you don't want to watch fishing competitions.
I would
Oh, hell no.
question everything if Dad wasn't living.
The last time I watched a fishing show with Dad, there was this big Southern guy on there. What's his name? Bill Bass or something like that. That talks about kissing them fish, and he's like, I'm a really good baiter. In fact, I think I'm probably a masturbator. And I was like, I am out. I am out.
We were in the kitchen and we heard Dad was watching it in the living room.
Yeah.
And we're like, what are you watching?
Nothing.
Not reader.
Oh, that was weird. But, he's got his tastes. I know what he liked when I knew what he liked when we got married. I knew that he liked to go hunting. I knew that he liked to go fishing. Go.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not one of these hanging on to the guy. Oh, no, you have to come to the rummage sales with me.
And I mean, if you want to, like, you're not, like, say he wants to go fishing, he's, like, obviously way in the beginning of the marriage. Be like, oh, I'll go with you. Like, I'll give it a shot, try it out. It's not, like, you don't have to stick with it forever.
Yeah,
No,
you
no.
try it.
Well,
if
I
you don't
used
like
to
it,
go
then-
fishing.
So that, like, I'm engaged in what you like.
Yeah,
Not
try
really for
stuff
me.
together.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Not just
You know,
completely write it off.
yeah,
Like,
try
oh,
out each other's
You have
interests.
forced them
And,
to my
Yeah.
house.
You like
Yeah.
to go walk around and find rocks. I'm not doing that.
Up until, from 2000, wait, what was it? 1980 until 2011, when I had my first arm surgery after the car accident, I could go fishing, and I outfished him every time.
With her little Cleo. Baby.
I have one fishing lure, and it's funny because when Haley got with Danny's this big, I wear cowboy hats and pointed cowboy boots, and I'm a man. And he comes with his big old tackle box, and he's got thousands of lures, and he's like showing them off and all this other stuff. And I said, Danny, follow me. And I took him to my bedroom, and I said, you got to help me bring my tackle out here. I said, because it's going to take you and me, maybe somebody else. And he comes in there and he's like all excited. He can't wait to see this tackle box because he thinks, yeah, we're going to look at some really interesting baits. And I go on the pinup board, the cork board in my bedroom, and I pulled it off. And I said, here, do you think you can handle this one? And he goes, where's the rest of it? I said, baby, this is all I need. I catch more fish than Dad does.
Mhm.
And Desi's got the little secret when she fishes. Do you remember it?
Mhm.
What?
When she sits at the shoreline. and
She
then
got it from
just
Mama.
Dunks it. She doesn't cast out. She used to. I just dunk it in there, and then you can watch them, and then she'd catch them.
No, she's got a song.
She has some that she-
Fishy, fishy in a brook, come and bite my little hook. And you say that, and instantly you catch a fish. But since I
At our
can't,
fishing, the sports shop.
Yeah.
Fishing clinic.
Fishing is not something.
Yeah.
I'll fish. First of all, don't like waiting. Don't like
Mhm.
waiting. Don't like sitting there. I know
You
some
also
people.
won't bait a hook or
I
take
won't
the
bait or
fish
take
off.
the fish off. So
No.
I gotta have someone with me.
Yeah.
And it's more the, I just don't. I know people like to sit there and listen to the woods or listen to the raindrops if it's raining.
I drive
So
Dad
sit there
nuts
and
when I
cast
go.
and I bring it in.
I just-
Cast
that's
and
what
bring
I
it in.
do.
I'm just like,
Cast and bring
okay,
it
come
in.
on,
Yeah.
let's go.
It drives Dad nuts. He's like, no, you got to leave it sit in the water. And I'm like, nope. I throw it out there, reel it in slowly. Throw it out there, reel it in slowly.
I'm not
And he's like, you're never going to catch anything. Just as he says that, a fish jumps on the line.
Yeah, I'm not the kind of person that's like, let's sit here for 12 minutes and just look at the stream floating in the water. Those little bobbers, I'm just gonna keep looking at.
I
it.
get
Dad's like, oh, you ought to become a fly fisherman then if you like to just whip it out there and reel it in.
fishing is not difficult for me, but it hurts my eyes because staring at the water, trying to watch your bobber, you're like, did it just go under? Did it not just go under?
I don't use a bobber.
I give up. But then someone has to run and go get it because I've already.
Well,
I've
see,
walked
when I was a
away.
kid, me and Brian, my uncle, who's only a year older than I am, he's gone too now. We used to fish with just a branch off of a tree and some fish line. And we'd make our own.
There.
We'd make our own hooks, and we would catch fish with worms.
That's some fish
Mom
people.
taught us how to get macros out of the ground so you don't have to go buy.
Yep. All you do is you take Dawn dish soap,
So
you sprinkle
night.
it at night, when the sun just went down and it's just starting to get dark. You take Dawn dish soap and sprinkle it all over the grass, and then you bring the hose out and you lightly sprinkle it. They jump straight up out of the ground. And then you rinse them off real quick and you keep them. I could do it right here in my yard.
You'd be surprised.
No, I've done many holes in my yard already. Don't tell my landlord, but.
I guess I'm a 2 feet on
You're a
pavement
city
kind of
boy.
person.
Oh, so am I. I will only fish from the shore. I
I'll
will
look at
not
the
go on a
dart.
boat.
I'll look at it.
She won't touch one.
No, I always have to have somebody to
I bet
bait my
Brian used to
line.
bait her hook, too.
Brian baited my line every time. I won't be with anybody that won't bait my hook. All right, you guys, get your mind out of the gutter.
It wasn't you.
His is fully in the gutter. His is a pile
I know.
of leaves and an old lady's gutter.
You and me. Just hug us me and tell me recorded.
Come over here and bid my hook.
Yeah, but ask Dad about the first probably month that we went fishing when we first got married. I'd draw back to, cast, and I caught more trees. I caught his hat while it was on his head.
Didn't you catch
I caught him
in
right
his
where
pants?
all the seams meet in the crotch of your britches.
He
And
was having a vasectomy on his honeymoon.
I said no kids.
he's just rubbing with the line like, holy shit.
I caught Desi's nose.
Yeah.
And then I was just sitting there, just pulling, trying to
Yanking.
cast. I'm like, what is it stuck on? Desi's just pig nosing behind me.
Right now.
Yeah.
You did it over everybody's nose. Punch Haley in my
Punched
nose.
Haley in the nose. I wanted to go outside. Go get it to me now.
So what do you think? What is your opinion of what keeps me and Dad together?
Went to Italy's
I
love.
was gonna say insanity.
No, for
Maybe
real.
the fact that nobody else could stand either of you.
True that.
Um,
I'm demanding.
but deep down, it has to just be true love. I couldn't put up with either of you.
Thank you. I love you too.
Well, I'm not trying to date you, so.
He ain't trying to bait your hook.
Yeah. Your hook is
You won't
big.
bait my hook.
You're a good baiter. So you're
A master baiter.
We're wondering about that.
Last week it was the Australian accent. This week it's the Southern accent.
What do you think? There's many generations in this room, so this is a broad survey about being in a relationship and going to bars.
If you're together, yes. If you're separate, no.
Tanner's not allowed.
Yeah.
Me and Tanner won't go.
If I
And
found
that's-
out Dad was going to a bar like after work or something, no, those nuts are now in
It
the
would be
freezer.
different, like
Get the hook.
if I was going with like you,
Mhm.
but like Tanner cannot go to the bar with his friends, and I cannot go to the bar with my friends.
Yeah.
Separately. If
Mhm.
we're
I
in
won't
those
disrespect my
situations,
husband like
then
that.
we have to be
What
together.
if Tanner wanted to go to the bar with the neighbor behind you guys?
No.
It's a mutual friend, but
No.
only one is going.
Yeah.
Friends, no. Family, yes.
Why? What do you think?
Very much together or nothing.
Yeah.
Drinking can't be that important.
Like
Drinking
just
can lead
when
to other
Mason and
things.
Ryan go to a bar together, I know that they're going to a party at a bar. I tell you guys what, watch each other. Have each other's back. Look out for each other. The buddy system.
But also like with
I almost got
family,
fired.
but like with family too, it depends on the people. Like if I have for Tanner to go with his family member, I have to fully trust that family member is going to keep my integrity intact.
Yeah, I
Is
guess,
going to be there looking out for me as well.
I guess I see it differently. If it's like, granted, like he wants to go out, I don't, fine. But if it's like, what I'm saying is like, if he were to say, this would depend. If he were to say, I'm going to the bar by myself and not invite me, that's a problem. But if it was like his best friend that I've met 20 million times and blah, 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 and they're going to go out together and I don't really want to go, I would be okay with it. And it would depend, obviously, if he's like, oh, we'll go out with, the new coworker. I'm like, well, no, you're not going out with the new coworker. If you're going out with your friend you've known for 20 years, sure.
And
don't
that's
care.
one thing I put on the line when Tanner and I met before we even like officially started dating. He's like, whoever I'm dating is not going out to the bars like with their friends and doing whatever. Like, if we're going to the bar, we are going to the bar.
So I feel.
Well, like when Dad would go deer hunting with Big Bob, okay? It would be Big Bob, Dad, one of Big Bob's friends, and Jimmy. And maybe one or two other relatives went of Bob's. And there's a strip bar right up north. And Big Bob would be like, let's go look at some titties.
Well, that's a no.
And Dad sat right there. Jimmy was like, no, Dad sat right there. And he said, you guys go ahead. I'm tired. I'm just going to watch TV. But all of us have gone into bars together.
Mhm.
Like when we went to hotel bars, like when we were ghost hunting or going into Wazika or something like that. I was there with 3 of my children. What am I going to do? I'm not looking for nobody to bait my hook.
Yes,
She
you
did.
did.
She took an interest to you.
Oh my
Put it on
God.
your face though.
Not mine. Oh.
If you watch the video, someone said
No, she had something swinging.
Or
Okay,
she
her
had,
tutor.
yeah, or she had Arby's meat curtains. I
Something was
God.
slapping you in the forehead.
Yeah, there was
We went,
skin.
you got to explain that we went to the hotel bar and there was a drunk woman who was probably 60s.
We use the word woman loosely.
Very.
Well, we were
This is
wondering.
her. This is her meat curtains.
She was kind of butch, but
She was a lesbian.
but she kind of gave off
Took a
horror.
season.
vibes.
Well, because she's standing at the bar and she's there with her arm around one guy and the other guy next to her had his hand down her pants.
Yeah.
And then she like had no
Oh,
problem
so-
standing like on the table, flapping her donk in your face.
Yeah. Rudy to the tutor.
Yeah.
And then she went to sit on the booth next to me and she sat on half of my leg.
Yeah.
And I kind of yanked away and she goes, ooh, somebody's got a problem with me. I said, yeah.
I don't know you. We were sitting.
Yeah, I
here.
said, I don't know you. Get off me. And she looked like she had body bugs, you know?
Yeah. Syphilis.
Yeah, gonosyphilitis. She had hepatosyphilitis. She had body lice. And she
Very
didn't
low
look
IQ.
like
Might have been a pterodactyl in there.
Yeah.
she didn't look like she ever washed her hair.
Or any other.
I feel like she made a career out of
Yeah, it was.
It was easy access.
gross.
You went from the bar to the room.
Well, she was just easy access in general.
Well, that's
But
what I'm saying.
as she's listening.
Yeah. What?
Hey, I'm Nasty Nikki.
Yeah. Because she didn't live that far away from
And
me.
I was very offended that she had the same name as me.
Did she or did we give her that?
No, she said her name was Nikki.
She's the Nikki that Prince sang about.
Oh no, she was pretty at least. The one in Prince's song, and it was aimed towards Apollonia. He had to change her name. He couldn't sing Apollonia.
Yeah, not much.
That doesn't rhyme with it.
Yeah, I know.
By the time you're done saying her name, the course is over.
Yeah. Interesting.
But,
Wow.
yeah, other than that, I mean, you got to have trust. Like we were talking earlier about Dad, he's in somebody's house every day, a different person every day. If I didn't trust him, we wouldn't have anything. I can't live with that because I remember when I was 17 and I felt that way. It was an ugly, ugly feeling.
It just consumes your. It just takes too much energy.
Oh, it obsesses you.
Yeah, it definitely does.
Um,
Well, because I'm thinking, like, you obviously can do, like, I think, like, the one time when I was working and you were out and you weren't working and you said, like, oh, we're going to go step next door. I was fine with it because you came up to me, we talked about it.
Yeah.
Made sure we both were comfortable with it.
Yeah.
I said, first of all, if he does anything, I know everybody in that block. They'll
Yeah.
tell me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, second of all, you got to come I was like, I think I even made a joke. I was like, well, you got to come back to me either way. So you got to come back doing the right things. while
That's
you're there.
another thing.
Yeah.
How can people cheat and just face that, their significant other the next day or that night and be like, yeah, I had a good time. Everything's fine. Nothing out of the ordinary happened.
Gabrielle Simmons.
I was like,
Excuse me?
I
Desperate
think
Housewives.
Oh.
one, I know that wouldn't happen to us because also like when we're obviously each other's best friends, but like separate, we are with like locations on. Every second you're told where you are.
That was a struggle to get.
But then
I want you to trust me, not a phone app. I don't care. And I don't trust either of you.
And then
See, I don't have anybody. I don't trace anybody.
I track you.
I know.
You track
A
me.
few of my kids track me. It's like,
your location.
you
Yeah,
don't even
that's it,
know.
yeah.
I don't give a shit. I'll throw my goddamn phone in a dumpster before I'm going to let you know.
I always was never wanted to have a relationship that was built solely around tracking. I never wanted like you to be with someone for 10 years and they're like, oh, we have to have this app tell us where you are instead of the
I
mouth
like it
from the
for
person
like
you're
the
with.
safety feature.
Yeah,
I'm-
correct. Like for instance, like if I were like the night you went out down the street, his location was on in case
Yeah.
God forbid he didn't come back.
Yeah.
But like everyday situations, it isn't because I'm like, if he says I'm gonna run down to Walgreens and get some inspired leaders, I'm gonna believe he went to Walgreens.
Yeah.
Because I'm not gonna be on.
But you don't. Yeah, you don't have
where'd
to
he go?
look and be like, oh,
Yeah.
Where did you stop before Walgreens?
You said
Oh,
you're
gas
going.
station.
You said
My
you're
bad.
going to Walgreens. I believe you're going to Walgreens. If you're lying to me, that's between you and God.
Yeah.
You need to figure that one out.
See,
You better come home with whatever you go to Walgreens for.
I could live without locations. Don't
Yeah.
care about them. It's just what I used to, and I had to get over it. What I didn't like is when location would be on for a week and a half, and then it would randomly go off for 2 hours.
Yeah.
Then it's back on.
That was a big curve that I think we both had to adjust to. Because I was like very.
See, I couldn't live without tracking.
I was very much in the beginning, my list, and I
Yeah.
was like, I'm not going to be with someone who does not believe what I say and believes in app.
Yeah.
He was like, based on blah, 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 past stuff, I really would prefer it. And we went through a period where we kind of, hybrided it. We had it on, off, blah, 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 kind of worked with it.
We argued a lot about it.
Yes,
Yeah.
and that's what I
But-
realized is because the one thing I realized later on was that I would be on the app to make him comfortable, and it would say I'm 2 blocks over than where I was. Then that would become a fight because he'd be like, "Well, why were you on 2nd Street when you were supposed to be on 1st Street?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Well, see, I'm
And
telling you, I was on 1st Street."
See, but the
Yeah.
thing about me is I don't fear cheating because I know my worth.
Mhm.
I have FOMO. If you're getting good pizza, I want to know about it, and I want to be angry that you had
And
good
that
you
pizza
went
and
there
I wasn't
without
there.
And like obviously, like I don't strive to go out without him because if I went out without him, I would be like, "Well, I want Mason here."
Yeah.
But it was like and of course his pizza thing
Yeah.
is like always like within I'll get text and I'm at the pizza place. Do you want me to pick you up something? Do you want something to come back?
Well, like last night, I didn't know where Mason was. Okay. I was like, this is out of the ordinary. I could call the cops and report him missing because Mason always,
Just
tells
look
me.
at my phone every night.
Every night. and he tells me when he leaves for work. Well, not when he leaves for work, when he gets to work, when he gets home.
from work. And then good
uh,
night.
Stuff like that. And like when he leaves my house, I always say, text me when you get home so I know you're safe.
Or like when I went to Rochester for that week, I would either call or text you with like a daily
Yeah.
life check.
Yeah. But so last night when you didn't respond to me, my first instinct is I know your sister's got you on, lockdown on the phone. They know your every move. Desi will say, oh, no, he's still at the apartment.
Mhm.
And I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
Last
I mean,
night,
Snapchat
nobody
said
told
all the
me where you were.
updates. Yeah, when I checked his location on Snapchat last night, it was like, 4 hours ago he was at this place. Well, that can happen in 4 hours. So
Yeah.
Mhm.
So then I'm like, it's time to call the sheriff.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of like I think the tracking stuff can help in a relationship. Of like, if we are separated from each other, it's on.
Yeah.
No matter what.
Yeah.
But together, no. Or like if he's running to the store, I don't need to see
And
him.
another reason tracking started was because somebody was so bad at texting me when they got to a
I
destination.
had to get used to sending the text.
Isn't it used to somebody?
No,
looking
I
at
had to get used to sending the text. I parked the car. I'm walking inside.
No, it's
I'm
not.
checking it out.
I
Back to
just
my car.
farted.
Yeah. 'Cause it was like,
I don't have time to read all those
Because
texts.
it was like it would be like stuff that was like, okay, I'm gonna go to a Home Depot, Walmart, and all.
Yeah.
And I would, and what we realized quickly was that he wants a text when I'm there and leave, there and leave, there and leave.
Mhm.
And I was like, okay, well, all these next door to Home Depot.
But
I don't
you-
need to text him to tell him I'm walking into the next door.
Do you know why I'm like that though? Take a guess.
Oh.
Why I'm like that. Why do I request that you text me that you got home safe? Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's
From the time I was 14 until the time I was 17 and got married, I was home for 9 months. And guess what happened in those 9 months? I had Tony. My mom didn't know where I was, who I was with. She didn't call the cops when I ran away. She didn't know if I was alive or not. She didn't even know that twice I had been kidnapped, and plus I had 2 attempts on, being kidnapped. She found out afterwards from the police.
But that's a mother and son thing. Like you wouldn't, if your husband walked in now and said, "I'm gonna run a quick trip really quick," you wouldn't, and you wouldn't be like, "Oh."
Text me when you get there.
No, I don't know
You-
where Wayne is.
you-
I take him for a
Yeah, I
word.
was gonna say you would believe him for a space and be like, okay.
That's because I didn't have security growing up as a kid. I pulled so much shit when I was a kid. Like I said, and it wasn't in a bad way of running the streets. I lived on the streets. I worked as a waitress and I paid for my own hotel room. I stayed in a hotel every night.
I don't think it's because of the way you were brought up, because I'm like that with my kids, like Mia and like Lisa took Delilah and Aubrey to the movie, and I'm like,
Yeah, I
"Let
think
me
that's
get
just
there,"
more
you know,
of a
like it's just a
mother and their kid.
Yeah.
thing. That's not like,
Yeah.
because you're holding that different with your children than to your spouse.
Well, I'm going to ask a personal question. How was your mom when you were being raised? Did she have to know where you were? And
Well, tracking, my parents don't know the technology, so there was nothing like that. Yes, they did have to know where it was.
Yeah.
Constantly. They were just very, it depends. My dad could have cared less where I was. My mother needed to know if I was breathing, what corner I was breathing on, what street I was about to cross.
what
Yeah.
the air tastes like.
Yeah, but that was
Missy will
before
tell you.
tracking.
Missy will tell you that she wanted to go to somebody's house to hang out. And I had to talk to the parent. I had to ask them, are you going to be there? What are they going to be doing? Are you planning on leaving there? Are there guns in the house? Are they locked up?
But see, I think that's normal mothering.
Mhm.
You
I
wouldn't
didn't
just drop,
have that,
you
though.
wouldn't just drop your kid off at Joe Schmo's house and
Well, I don't
not talk to
know,
the
but-
parents.
I didn't have that.
I would.
But I did have that, and I'm still the same way. I mean, it's just
You know,
I just
like
think it's-
Delilah has a friend from Girl Scouts, and whatever, drop her off. I would,
you know, drop it off.
I would, like you would go up to the door and meet the parents,
Yeah.
if not before them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
that's
mean, Delilah's
that's
10
normal.
and still hasn't slept over at anybody's house
Yeah,
outside the
but
family.
that, and of course, before that, you're gonna do a whole CCAT thing.
Yeah.
But that's just normal.
Oh, I see cat
Parenting.
everybody.
Yeah.
I have a new neighbor.
CCAT, yeah.
Yep. I also constantly check to see if there's new pedophiles in the neighborhood
Mhm.
and how far away the closest pedophile
We live
is.
in Milwaukee.
Yeah.
It's
I use
Well,
the,
I
I
don't.
use that Watchdog website. That's
Yeah.
free.
you can spit and
Every
spit on
time,
three
every time
pedophiles.
one comes out, a new one pops up. I'm
The
like,
thing
"Oh,
about Waukesha County, though, is that really irks me to my core is like the sheriff's department will put out a police bulletin and it'll say that this pedophile is being released into, Waukesha County,
yeah.
and they have no address because they're homeless.
Well, then
but
also-
they're just walking up and down the street.
Also, Milwaukee will release them, drive them out to Waukesha
Yeah,
and drop them
I was
off.
gonna say Milwaukee County's very well.
We
known
bust
for
them
that.
out.
We bust
Yeah.
them to Waukesha.
They drop them off in Waukesha. with
Well,
you-
they ought to
they
know
have-
that I
if
have
they
a
have-
concealed carry.
If they have no address, if they live in Milwaukee, they stay.
Yeah.
If
If
they're
they don't,
homeless, they go to
they
Waukesha.
come to Waukesha.
I have no time for pedophiles.
That's very normal.
I will consider it a community service, and I'll answer to God for
Well,
that.
I agree. Those are
Um,
the scum that's on the bottom of my foot. But
Yes, exactly.
I
And
even just
Yeah.
like releasing them. Granted, I'm too hardcore. I think they should be killed for touching a child. But
Or castrated.
Just
Yeah.
castrated
No,
and
No, 'cause
tortured.
they can still do other things with other body parts and other
no,
objects.
I just think we just need to go for the jugular at that point.
Yeah.
If you have some,
Don't have impure
The
thoughts
electric
about
chair
that.
sounds
if
good
you
to me.
have some, I'm so sorry. I don't know what your excuses you're going to pull out for it, but if you have this issue or you need to go, do someone underage or somehow get that, then I don't think that you need to be around because you're not helping society in any way, shape, or
Anybody who diddles a child has no right to breathe air.
Correct.
And that's my personal opinion from experience.
normal people would be like, oh, your kid's adorable. That's just not.
Yeah.
But like the people who take one step forward and get arrested for it, and
Yep.
I'm by then society's done with you. I'm done with you. Therefore, save us the tax dollars.
Mhm.
Well, my girls found out the hard way that Dad, if anybody messes with any of his girls, Dad goes right for him. Dad almost ran over that one guy that was laying hands on Haley when she was a teenager in high school. And he told her, roll your window up and look away because he was going to run that little bastard right over.
Okay, ready to go 10 points? 20.
Yep. I have no time for that.
But then he pulled up, like he swerved away just at the last second, pulled up right next to the kid and screamed at him.
And threatened him and told him if he ever went near his daughter again, that my husband was going to put him in the ground.
I'm 99% sure that kid let himself.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's obviously. I don't have children. I would do that for my children, but I would also do that for any random child I saw on the
Yeah.
road.
Oh, yeah. I'd do that for anybody's
Or
child.
anyone's children. Like God forbid, if God forbid it happened to one of Missy's. I'm their dad now. Like
Yeah.
if Missy would never do it, but Missy and Tanner just left somebody in the park by themselves.
Yeah.
And I'm driving by. Now I'm their father.
But see,
Give me my
what,
kid back.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna drive you to your mom's house and then hit her in the head.
what
Yeah.
pedophiles don't realize is you damage the child for the rest of their
They
life.
don't care.
It's not just
But they don't care.
something that child is going to get over or they're too young to remember when they get older. It's a lie.
But they don't care. It's a moment. It's all about them.
I know.
That's why I'm just like.
Mhm.
So I think they even like I had one down the street from me growing up, and he had to put like for Halloween was the city made him put this giant sign in his front yard that said, "I am a registered blah 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 blah.
Yep.
Do not come up to my house." Blah blah. Blah.
We always look at the map before we go trick or treating, and we know which houses
Yeah. But see, I
aren't
don't know-
allowed to participate because if we see them
See,
participating, we're
I
going to
don't know
call
how
them
that
in.
works for Wisconsin. For Illinois, it was you were required to have, and it was like at least like Cook County and all that. It was permanently fixed in your front yard that I am a book.
Yeah,
and
no, they
you
don't have
cannot
anything
come up
like
to
that
my
over here.
house
When
because
we would trick or treat at Yaya's house, they had to leave during trick or treating hours.
Yes.
They weren't allowed to be home
Oh, wow.
during trick or treat hours.
Yeah.
seriously, mine just put up signs and
I wish they put up signs.
because if they even because it was like I remember one time there was like I was doing this thing of like I'll pick up your mail for $1 a day because I was like 5.
Yeah.
I wanted to make money, and I put one into that person's mailbox by accident. And the
Mhm.
police came to my house and was like, "Listen, blah 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 blah. Here's a sign up. I'm 5, can't read it."
Yeah.
And so, granted, why was I walking around the street by myself? No idea. But I'm like, they apparently can't even be there, answer the door. It doesn't. If you like, if they're following the rules, like you're out clipping your hedges or whatever, you see a child, you're gone. Like you
Yeah.
cannot be anywhere.
But
within the
now
vicinity.
around here, like they'll release them like a block away from schools.
I think it's gotten really lax because by us, at
Because there's
least,
so many.
there's so many. We live right on the corner of
Two streets.
2 streets on the lower east or the upper east side of Milwaukee. There is a elementary school within a block. I
Yeah.
can see them from my building, and I have 3 of them across the buildings across the street. One's around the corner, and I'm like, there's no way you can be that close to a school.
Yeah. I thought it was supposed to be blocks
I
and
thought
blocks
so too,
away.
and I'm like, here's me, here's their building, and here's the school. They're close.
Yeah.
They're right at the school.
Yeah.
And I'm like, there's no way that you can be that
And it
close.
seems like they all
And
I
I'm
don't know
not
if
setting
there's
up.
some sort of a system worked out, but it's literally like whole apartment buildings
Full
will
of
be
them.
nothing
Yeah,
but
and-
registered.
I wonder if it's some kind of a halfway
Housing.
house.
Well, that's what we have. Is one of the buildings is that, and I'm like,
See, judges are too lenient. My theory is if somebody has offended a child and harmed a child, they should be given two options. I will hand you this gun. You either put a bullet in your own head or you're going to sit in prison for the rest of your life with no chance of parole.
And no security.
And no
Yeah.
security.
You get offended.
for instance, the elementary school. You think I'm going to send my kid to that school knowing that striking distance? There's 3 of them.
Yeah.
No.
Wouldn't be more.
Well, they're obviously not, they weren't raised Christian or whatever because they couldn't live with their own conscience knowing that you just harmed a child. Jesus cares more about children than he does grown adults.
The thing about pedophiles is they don't care who they're
It's not-
hurting. They're out for their
Well, then
own
they should be
self-
institutionalized.
It's not just the pedophiles. It's the setting up for failure from the judges. Why would you put them in a place that's right across the street from an elementary school and just tempt them with the candy that they've
Well,
had an
that's-
issue with?
That's the way the whole judicial system is. It's not just pedophiles. It's, domestic violence
Yeah,
criminals
it'd be
and
like-
stuff like that. They purposefully put you in prison. It's not set up. It was set up in the beginning to rehabilitate. There's no rehabilitation going on in there. You take your classes, you bullshit your way through, you get through, but you really didn't get the
I'm a
help you
person
need.
now.
Yeah.
But it's
I did my time for my crime.
It's like if I was a bank robber and got out and they stuck me across the street from a bank.
Yeah.
I mean, what else do you want me to do?
Yeah, that's all I know.
Yeah.
It's in my blood. But I don't know. This whole world is going to hell in a handbasket. That's why Mason and I started talking, and Desi and I started talking this week about marriage and about what's going on in the world today, and where are the morals and where are the scruples, and I don't know. I wanted to get a perspective from you guys' generations compared to mine, and I know how I feel and how I think and what my morals are.
I think it all depends on how you're raised.
Yeah.
No, because I wasn't raised that
But I
way.
also think nowadays it's all very driven by politics, no matter which side it is. That,
Yeah, you literally meet somebody and you basically say, hey, I'm Richard and I'm a liberal.
yeah.
Yeah.
And that was definitely an issue we had firsthand after this the presidential election went through at work.
I know you guys lost a lot of
It
friends
was,
for it.
and I'll be shut with it. I don't see myself as a far liberal. I don't see myself as a Republican. I go based off of the person and their values, and I don't care if
I don't vote parties.
And that-
I'm going to tell you, I voted for Trump. There's things that he does
Yeah.
that I still don't care for.
and that's my and then right after it happened, it's on the person. I'm not gonna just blindly follow one side.
Yeah.
And as soon as that went through at our work, it was very hostile of you need to list names of people who are part of the Republican Party so that we can outcast them.
Yeah.
And I sat there and had this discussion because our good friend, really good friends of ours, one's a Republican and one's a Democrat, and they're together.
One's a Republican and one is a Democrat drag queen.
Yeah, and
Oh.
the other one works for the Republican Party, and
Yeah.
it's
Wow.
very and like I said
But they decided that politics are separate.
that they love each other and it doesn't matter. But the problem was that our work outed one of them, the one that was a Republican, and they were taken tooth and nail for it. And I'm like,
He lost his job with the
he lost
Republican
his
Party.
job, he lost his friends, and I'm sitting there.
She, the drag queen, couldn't get booked anywhere anymore.
Missy, tell your story about yesterday at the store. Missy was wearing a shirt. What did it say?
Defend freedom, not feelings.
She ran across to Karen that her vagina all but exploded in the grocery store because of the shirt that Missy was wearing. Missy had no idea. She didn't even, connect the dots.
I thought she was yelling about cold drinks. I didn't even know what she was talking about. Because we were in the produce section, and all of a sudden there was this crazy lady standing behind Mia, staring at us, like giving us this
Stink eye.
weird look, just glaring at us and talking. I thought she was drunk. I thought she was day drinking. Well, go you, live your best
Mhm.
life. but she's just staring at us. And she'd reach for the bananas, rip them off the shelf, rip 2 bananas off, put them in her bag, put the rest of the bananas up. She did this all around the banana rack. And then she was picking out bell peppers. And then she got right behind Mia, and I thought she almost fell. So I started laughing. I'm like, okay, drunk, getting ticket saved. And so I guess she threw her bell peppers on the floor and then snatched them back up off the floor. And then we're just laughing. Mia and I are just laughing. And we're walking away.
Until
She stands in front of my cart and she's just staring at me. And then she starts laughing. And I'm like, oh God. She's
psycho.
Yeah.
Then she comes around my cart, gets in my face, and starts laughing and smiling. And she's like, freedom from what? Ice? I'm like, what does this lady have against cold drinks? Like, we're in the grocery store. That
She
I'm
wasn't
not
even
thinking about anything. Like,
Ice is an animal.
yeah. And I'm like, it's over by the liquor, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, and freedom from masked men with long barrel shotguns invading our homes. And then she just cackles and walks away.
Who are we talking
And I started walking, and I'm like, none of this makes sense.
Yeah.
None of it makes sense at all. So I turned back around. She's gone. She must have been in the liquor permit. But me and I are walking around going, Karen, oh, Karen, we have some more words for you.
Well, that's after it dawned on Missy that, oh, she's talking about my shirt.
Well, you don't walk around with like the saying on your shirt is embedded.
Yeah, if I was wearing my AC/DC t-shirt in a store and somebody came up and went, great music, I'd have been like, okay,
I don't
here's
hear it.
music.
Yeah.
Sabrina Carpenter.
Yeah. Not bad.
Espresso.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't even put 2 and 2 together until Mia was like, oh, probably your shirt. What is so offensive about like defend freedom, not feelings? Like it shouldn't be your feelings. Like everybody should be.
It's the same with religion. Just because you don't agree with what's in the Bible doesn't mean it's wrong.
And if I walk up and I see somebody with, I don't know, like a satanic necklace on, I'm not going to get on their face and start screaming at them about that. Like, do you, boo, but over there.
Yeah,
I don't
like I've said a
care.
million times before, I'm having a hard enough time getting my own ass into heaven. I'm not worried about yours.
I really just don't have the time or energy or
Yeah.
anything.
Who has all that energy to, and I hate to say it, it's always the liberals that are like getting in people's faces and challenging your belief system.
And
And
it's just that I, 1, don't care. 2,
Yeah.
why should you be telling me, or I should be telling you what you should believe in when we all have the right to free speech?
Yep.
That's kind of going against it.
Yeah.
Like and whatever Missy does in her house does not affect me in my house.
Nope.
Missy
she's
could
not
do-
paying your
Missy
bills.
could light the house on fire. It will not affect me in any way, shape, or form.
Well,
we probably have roommates. So.
You know, we
My
probably-
mom's
we probably have roommates, but
my mom's cousin Arlene. I love her to death. She's a liberal. Well, she's Democrat. Okay, she votes Democrat. We agreed right from the get-go. Let's not talk about politics because we're not going to agree. We're not on the same page. But I still love you.
Yeah.
I still love you, and I still want to have a relationship with you. But we're going to disagree on politics, so let's leave it out of it.
And I think that was the frustration with us at work was that, and I was the first person to be up in line saying, listen, why don't care. I have friends who are strict Republicans. I have friends who are strict Democrats.
Yeah.
I base it solely off of you as a person. If we vibe, if we're great friends, I don't care who every 4 years you vote for.
Yeah.
That's
My thing is, if you're not feeding me or funding me, why do I need to answer
Yeah.
to you?
if we're like best friends and we're opposite politically, okay.
Yeah.
You do you, I do
But then
me.
there's some people, I know that, they vote Democrat, they're liberal, but we can sit down and have an adult conversation about it without them like, oh no, you're stupid,
Well,
stupid
it's
Republican.
not even that. If we can
Like,
sit down, like if Mason and I can go,
I'm like, oh,
if we can go out and have a drink and just be civilized adults, that's fine. That's all I need.
Biden!
Back in the day, like when I was 5, so that was 1968. My mom and I lived with my grandma Rose. We lived downstairs from my Aunt Eva and her kids and her husband. And Grandma Rose was a Democrat. But back in the day, Democrats were the working class and Republicans were the suits, the fancy suit and tie guys.
Yeah, it's switched.
And somewhere along the line, it switched because my grandma was working class. She worked for everything she ever had. But she worked for everything she ever had. She never looked for a handout. She never looked for a hand up. She handled her own. And I believe that if she were alive today, not only would she be over 106 years old, but she'd be like, she'd lose her mind over the way the Democratic Party has turned.
I'll bet you like either party.
No, she would definitely be a Trumper because she believed in working hard and America first and defending our military and our military defending us and, come into the country legally, that type of thing.
This one's not really so.
Mine just did, but mine's been going off like.
Mine's on silent.
When I'm on my podcast, I don't pay attention to my phone. But yeah, I used to ask her because I was 5 years old. I was like, Grandma, who'd you vote for? She said, little girl, that's none of your damn business.
That's what I say to everybody. Who you vote for,
Yep.
that's none of your business.
She said, don't bring up politics or religion in a conversation.
Even like for us, like I know he has not people I voted for.
I'm very blatant with my response. I
Yeah.
will tell you.
Yeah.
But it's my right.
I'm
Correct.
not ashamed of who I voted
No,
for.
and neither am I.
But it's on a need to know basis.
But I'm not going to sit here and have an argument with you over it.
Correct.
I'll have an educated discussion.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the difference.
I like sitting down and talking to people and finding out like why, like what they believe on their side.
I do
It's
too.
like,
Well,
That's-
I got tired of
that's the
having people.
difference.
I got tired of having people say, "Oh, you voted for somebody who wants to take away women's rights." Okay, I'm past the baby making age, so I don't give a shit. Well, they took it away from your daughters. No, my daughters have their own mind. They'll do what they want to do. Nobody can take that away from them.
they still can't answer what rights are taken away from us.
And
the right to kill
abortion.
babies.
That's it.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's the only thing. Well, you want to, have that, go for it.
Because they say that like DNCs, those are considered voluntary abortions.
Yeah.
But yeah,
No, I didn't volunteer for that.
yeah.
I didn't sign up for that. That was not on my bingo card for that day.
I don't know.
So
I'd
then
rather not.
if you were bringing us back to relationships,
Yes,
if
please.
you kind of keeping it, doing a nice little turnaround,
Yes.
go back to say the first time you met Tam, the first time you met
Wayne.
Wayne. I know I always feel I don't like saying it by his first name.
Yeah,
that's
I just
fine.
I grew up very
That's right.
traditional and I don't like
Yep.
saying it by the first name to adults. Would everything you love him, love your life, would it have changed anything if it was, like for us, like a topic of politics never came up? And would it ever, if he was the opposite of you, would that have in any way changed either of your minds?
He is the opposite, and that's what I was intrigued.
No.
Even
politics.
political.
I'm saying like
we
'cause,
never talked.
I was saying because like people now are like, I have friends who will not date, who are liberal and will not date anyone who isn't liberal.
Oh,
And I'm like, I don't really put that on my
mm-mm.
card as be like, well, I have to be the same exact
No.
thing.
When Wayne and I first met, we met in September. It was September 27th, 1980. And our first date, we drove around all night. Just
Okay.
drove and drove and drove. Of course, gas prices were like at $1 a gallon, something like that. Well, before that, they were like 59 cents a gallon, 59.9. And then it got up to 79.9 and we all had heart attacks. But we just
What's
drove
on your
around
mind?
all night talking to each other. What's your favorite color? Do you want to live in the country? Do you want to live in the city? Do you want, we got to know everything about each
Yeah.
other. Guess my middle name. Dad was like, mine starts with a G. And I was like, George, and we just sat there and talked and got to know each other. And we got married 3 months and 1 day later.
No offense to me.
Huh?
I said, I'll pass down Dad's middle name.
Is it actually George?
No, it's Gordon.
Okay, I was like, did you get it on the first try?
Like the Gordon.
But
See,
he
I
was named
invested if she got
after,
on the first
Oh.
try. I was-
his middle name was after his step
I was
grandpa,
like, wow, the spirits are with her. It's George.
because his step grandpa's name was Gordon Carvin.
Yeah, Dad has no good family names.
No.
I guess it brought me to the side questions. Now I'm segueing because I
Yeah,
guess
either.
I've had this question since being a part of this family. Because
He's questioning a lot of
no,
things.
of course not.
Question
But
a lot of
Your
like
your
sex-
dad, your dad's before he was married, his last name was Heck, right?
Yeah. But
And
my
yours
name
would
was
be-
Roxanne. So when I married
Yeah,
him,
last name is-
my name was Roxanne Heck.
But
And I was like, oh, hell no.
but your last name was Wilson, right?
No,
No,
that's my
Doman.
stepdad.
Doman.
Her
Mhm.
dad's last
So
name.
my question is, where did the laws of China?
Because when my mom's dad came to this country, their last name was Alonzio.
Okay.
And then to make themselves Americanized, they changed it to Allen.
When
And
they came off of the boat, they had to change it to Allen to
Mhm.
Americanize it.
Because I always wondered, I knew that like when you both were growing up, it was not one of you did not have Alonzo Luciano.
nope,
Vice versa. So I asked
Luciano didn't come
I
in the
asked-
picture until
I asked
recently.
Mason once, and he gave me a rundown, but I couldn't like fully understand what he was
And then-
talking about because I'm like, well, where did you didn't pull the name out of thin air? Like this is my last name.
Gaia's name was Georgia Allen. And then
She married my
Mom's
dad.
So she was now Georgia Doman.
Mhm.
Mom had the Doman last name.
Yeah, I guess I don't want to.
And then she got married to my stepdad,
Yeah, that would have
Bunky,
been Wilson.
and
Yeah.
he's Wilson.
Because I was always wondering, I'm like, who did that?
So many name changes.
Because I always like first coming around, I always assumed that like Mason's dad's last name was Luciano or one of them,
Yeah,
or it was hyphened between the two of you. But then
Yeah.
when I found out it wasn't, I was like, so where did it come from?
yeah.
I know, I hate explaining it to people because
Well,
I'm
because
like,
you explain it so just like Wikipedia answer,
I
and
just
I'm
said,
like,
like,
well, I don't
it
get
was
it.
a family name that got lost in translation somewhere and we brought it back.
Yeah, see, that wasn't enough for me. I was like, I want to know.
Because your mom grilled me on the rooftop like 90 questions.
Because I was like, I want to know where it came from.
Mhm.
Just don't tell me that it's a family name that was lost. I want to know exactly where it came from.
Well, there's long stories to both last names, the Alonzio and the Luciano families,
This is
and
very Italian.
Sicilian. But
So,
yeah,
sorry.
yeah, that's for another show. We might get into that someday. But I mean, I don't even know all the facts. Everybody's always asking me, "Oh, are you related to Lucky Luciano?" I said, "I don't fucking know, and I don't really care. I don't idolize him. I'm not into the whole mob thing. It's like Gunner's books. They're interesting, but nothing I'd ever want to be involved in. Only, I think, probably because when I was younger, I always thought it would be cool to be a female mob leader, And no, Big Ange ain't even a female. She runs and hides. She was a scary cat. And
Drita.
oh yeah, Drita.
Drika.
Drika.
A name we hear in our neighborhood.
Drika. And
did she
Laquifa.
work at Burger King?
Maybe.
What you want?
Would you?
Yeah, there's a lot of things that I don't even. I've asked a lot of questions, and like I said, I always thought it'd be pretty cool to be a female mob boss, but I guess that's not acceptable.
I honestly couldn't care less about where I come from, my ancestors, anything like that. Because they do not make me who I am. I make myself who I am.
Well, that's not what I was saying.
I know, I'm just saying,
Him in general.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. You mean like with like the mob tie?
I was bold to say on the internet.
Well, he
I
didn't
was
say
using
the bad
quotations
word.
for that
Yeah.
because we were just talking about
Like, people get so, like,
Hung up
weird
on it.
and hung up about their ancestry. Like,
Oh,
know
I
where
did
came
too.
from
I did
32
too.
Decades ago.
I mean-
Like, I couldn't care less.
Well, we all went and found our ancestors, wanted to walk on the land that they walked on and lived on. Well, I did. And then I found out that I was highly disappointed because we went to the cemeteries and all of them either had Illuminati or Freemason symbols on their headstone. And My only theory of that is now I feel I need to cleanse my whole family tree. You know, just to get that sin off of me. I feel like I just stepped in shit. You know, and I want to get the ick off of me.
Mine's just worried about the Holocaust.
Well, see, that's another thing. You know, everybody's like, "Oh, are you racist?" And I'm like, "No, far from it. My whole family strived to help slaves escape from slavery in the underground tunnels."
Down the Wisconsin River.
Yes, down the
They used to
Wisconsin
hang
River in
the quilts
Wazeeka.
on,
My grandma, my great grandma, used to hang a certain patchwork quilt out on the clothesline if it was safe for them to get off the boat
that
and
was a
come
signal
up.
for all the safe houses.
Yeah.
Am I the only one when school taught that thought it was an actual underground railroad? I don't know. I just thought schools always say underground railroad, and as a kid, you're like, "Whoa,
Yeah.
on a train underground."
Yeah. I
But
think that's just like a common.
Yeah.
They need to rename it.
I just think it's
Trump's going to rename something else. He's got to rename the Underground Railroad.
Gulf of America, really.
Yeah.
I like it.
It's dumb.
I
There's
like
better
it.
things that he could have been doing.
He could be
no.
lowering our effing gas prices right now.
No, he was
And they're going back
doing
up
it for a
again.
purpose, and I understand it. And
Okay, there's other things to do.
Yeah,
Petty-
bigger fish to fry, Betty.
Petty
but
and
sometimes you gotta be petty, Betty.
No,
You can be
not-
petty while you're accomplishing other stuff.
Oh, he is. He's still accomplishing other
Put it out on
things.
the printer. Who's it?
We're not going to actually have this discussion tonight.
Yeah, this is a free podcast.
Anyways.
Anyway,
Actually, I said that. But
We're in those podcasts with
Delilah
I am.
Delilah said
Delilah
that.
I kind of like when we're like at work or something, and people find.
oh, I thought you meant it was in here. I was ready
No,
to
no,
hit the
I
floor.
Right, we haven't done already.
I think it's kind of funny when people like my last
Like when I said it.
like Chanel found out that
Yeah.
my last name was Alonzo Luciano. She's like, "Are you like related?"
Oh,
to Bob?"
Have I used that to my advantage? Absolutely.
Oh, every 5
Because
seconds.
I've had people at work, you know, they come, I work as a bartender. They're going to come up, flirt with you, you're going to shut them down. But if they aren't getting the message, like I had one do that, I pointed over to the mate and he just sitting there like this, just, I don't know, looked a little
I'm
scary.
drunk and I'm trying to stand
And
up.
I'm like, do
And he's using you
I
as
was
a
like,
scare
do you see
tactic.
that over there? And I was
That's
like,
fine.
That puddle of man.
I was like, his last name's Luciano. Yes, the Italian one. I would not to keep pursuing
No,
this
One
avenue.
away.
I go, for your safety, I wouldn't keep doing this.
For your
I already
safety
said
and
no.
mine. Please go
While I'm
away.
sitting there going,
Yeah.
While he's sitting there going,
Do you know what I like
Take your
though
shirt
about?
off.
Do you know what I like though about my name? Is well, number one, everybody on Facebook with the same last name, Luciano, they seek you out and you're instantly, "Hey, cuz, how you doing?" You know, because they know we're all related.
it's like the handshake.
Yeah.
It was a curse, like when my kids were in school and stuff, because as soon as they find out you're Italian, the principals, you know, out here in Snooty Land in Richie Richville, they're all like, "Oh, they're Italian. That explains a lot," you know.
There's a lot of stigma.
Oh yeah,
People, because even like when I was at work,
we're
the only stigma around Italians is anger issues.
no, we're discriminated against too. One time,
No.
what?
I said, wait a minute.
Oh no, like the police in Muskego. We got a phone call about a Hispanic-looking male throwing snowballs at cars. Instantly, they come looking for my boys.
Yeah, I feel like that's
I don't think they heard Hispanic looking male. They just heard.
No, that's what the cop said to me.
because I have been told very many times that I look Hispanic.
Mhm.
And then they'll ask,
honey, they're lying.
No, you look ethnic. You don't
Yeah.
look like
Yeah, you look
the average
ethnic.
honky walking down the street, you know?
what ethnicity would I be?
Sicilian.
Oh, you got it right.
Yeah, I
See,
know.
old Dog New Tricks does work.
Yeah.
Well, like I always said, like before, because Mason and I work with the same employer now, but before he worked for them because I worked there first. He would sit there at the end every time I worked, just watching me and watching everybody else interact with me.
Stalker.
And it got to the point where people were so deathly afraid. Like people would
It
come
took a
up
while
to
for
me.
me to make
People would
friends.
come
I
up to
don't-
me and
yeah.
order something for me, and like in their voice, they'd be like, "Can I have a like?" And he's like, just looking at him like, "I'm just gonna." I can appear in 2 seconds.
I'm just there enjoying my free
And
drinks.
I made the joke to some.
Try not to fall
I made a joke to one of my friends because one of my friends was like, "He's just like, looks like a mob boss," and I'm like, "Oh, what? Pudgy over there?" And I just went over and went,
You're gonna die on air.
Like, I'm like, he's just like, he's a little teddy bear. And I went over and went like this, and you were like,
Don't touch me.
Sorry.
Mason's in defense mode.
Lack of words. I was saying like, oh, don't worry, he's just a little teddy bear over there. Yeah. Oh.
I love it.
Quiet, Pooh.
Oh, but it's
I'm kidding. I was
Okay,
just...
Lumpy.
Shut up, Slimy.
I'm not in this conversation.
No, but everybody that I ever knew growing up, you know, after my whole coming out of being picked on and bullied, after I took my life back and took control, like Chris, she was like, "Oh my God, when I met you, I thought you were such a bitch." And I was like, "Why? What did I say?" "Oh, you didn't have to say anything." She's like, "You just looked like a bitch."
I don't look like one. I am.
She said, instantly, I saw Italy and I saw bitch.
I wouldn't say that any of you look like a bear. When like
Well, you don't not
at
look
least
like one.
no, I'm saying
I wouldn't say it. 'Cause
I'm
that's
saying at
for
least for
life.
like Mason, it's like he has a look that you can see is like obviously not right now, but like it's,
You didn't see the face he gave you.
yeah, it's like a
It
look
wasn't
of
funny.
like even I see that I'm like
I get it from my mom.
I do the look to Georgia and she yelled at me. Mom, stop!
According to my boss, Desi and I have devil eyes.
I don't think Dusty has the last. I've seen her like give a look the same with Mason has.
Oh,
I'm like,
Desi's little death stare.
Mm.
and she's much shorter than me, but I'm still a little nervous.
You're not that tall. For sure.
True. Dusty, if you're listening.
She went to bed already.
Oh, did she?
She texted me like 40 minutes ago.
Oh, that means she said her goodnight text to me too, but I didn't reply because I'm on
14 minutes ago.
my
The
podcast.
trash can.
Yeah.
No, didn't she make?
Yeah,
She made
Use the body to the
into
security guard?
Garbage can.
Yeah.
Well, because I don't know why he wanted to pick with her. He's shorter than she is, but he was like just said something like they were just like
Because she's my sister, he was like poking.
yeah,
fun a
poking.
little,
They were just like poking fun at each other, and then like all of a sudden he was like, "Oh," said something like, "Oh, you're sure you can't take me on?" And Dusty like just
He questioned her strength.
did the look, and I was like, "Uh oh, now you're gonna."
Because he was like, "Oh, nobody's scared of her."
yeah, and then I saw her like give the look, and this is
Where's
this is
it
gonna
again?
be
And
the
then she
end.
cornered him. She didn't push him in a garbage can. She made him climb
Yeah,
in the
she
garbage
said
can.
that. She's like, "You're gonna go in the garbage can." He's like, "I'm not." She's like, "Yeah, you are now." And
Yeah.
he climbed in it. And I was
That's
like,
my
Camera,
baby.
too.
and I was like, "Okay, good security we got here, guys."
Yeah.
I feel so safe now.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're supposed to be.
When a 5 foot tall girl can
Yeah.
make a guy get into a
If
garbage
something
can.
happens to me, you're supposed to be the one who's jumping up to help me. You just have her put you
Now
in
we
the
know where to
garbage
find him.
Yeah.
In the garbage can.
See, Desi, if you're still listening or if you listen to this tomorrow,
can.
there's your career goal. You got to be
Keep people
security or a
on
bouncer at a bar. Yeah, because when Desi gets mad, she may only be 5 feet tall,
I
but
think
she's,
security's allowed to jump on your back and punch you in the head.
No.
yeah, she's like a spider monkey. She'll, before you even
Yeah,
know it, she's on your back
No.
beating you in the head.
Yeah, she'll do good in prison, not security job.
Because you're in this. You're great. Leading the gang into prison.
Yeah. Who says you can't have a female mob boss?
Yeah.
Oh, I guess it's the guy's rule. Because otherwise, I'd have my own. I'd be a boss. Huh?
Anger issues. I punched my microphone.
That, or I think I would want to be security because I could carry a wooden bat.
I don't think you're technically.
It depends on the bar.
Don't you think like
Milwaukee seniority ordinances are very lax.
yeah? Because I'm gonna say like even
You
like
can have pepper spray. Right
if you walk into a mall, they have to have something.
Girls use pepper spray. I'm
They
going to
would
use a
have
bat.
cell phones.
Because I'm like security at a mall. Like what's gonna stop someone from stealing something? They gotta have something on them.
Some of the ones
What,
at the
they're pen
mall
and
are like
paper?
actual cops.
Well, I'm saying like
Yeah.
the person you see at the front desk is just this like security guard. Like what? What are you
Oh.
gonna do? I'm gonna steal this
He
T-shirt.
has a super soaker.
Yeah,
He's got a cell phone.
I'm gonna
Call
steal
the real
this.
cops.
I'm gonna steal
Yeah.
this T-shirt. You're gonna pull out a pen.
No,
Yeah.
don't call a cell phone. Call the real cops.
I mean, there's gotta be something. Obviously, like not a gun, but
I always told you guys to tell Liz I'll sit on the end of the bar with a baseball bat. Anybody gives you guys a hard time, I'll be right there.
I said
I don't think
I
you want to do it.
I never
Obviously,
have the
or-
problem because I have about an 8-foot wide bar between me and somebody.
And I was like, you want to drive
That-
back home from that
yeah.
area at that time?
That's solid. First of all, Carl. Second of all,
Yeah, it's because my Hemi'd be
Yeah.
gone.
My little Ford Escape.
I never deal with it because I have like an 8-foot solid wood bar between me. So yeah. It's more like the bar backs who have to deal with it because they have no deterrent. What are they gonna like? I've had people who have gotten so mad at me. I'm like, what are you gonna do? Crawl over?
Yeah.
Because by the time you
Well, if I were mad, yeah, I'd crawl
by the
over.
time your knees even get on the bar top,
Oh, yeah.
We'll be
You
done.
have 4 people on top of you.
yeah. And we have like stuff behind the bar in case that happens. I'm like, so the moment I see your kneecaps hit the top of the bar, I'm gonna be using one of them.
And also, even the other bartenders that are working, no matter how short, no matter how wide they are, if they see that one of us is in trouble, they will clear a room.
Because I think we've had
All you
issues.
gotta do is pick up a bottle and crack one.
We had
on the head,
issues
that'd be-
before I was hired. There was a situation where somebody came in. We have this glass. Our boss put mirrors everywhere. They
Yeah.
do intersect
The
with each other.
whole back.
But it's so that no matter which way I'm facing, I can see the entire. If I'm turning around looking at the register, I can see everything that's happening.
Yeah.
And like we had a customer throw glasses at the bartenders and shatter the back. Like
Oh
the
my
bottles
God.
sit here on shelves, and then
The
there's
mirror's
the
bigger
mirrors,
than that wall.
and started
Yeah.
shattering the mirror.
Oh, no.
And
They're going to jail and they're paying for
Yeah.
that new wall.
even, like even,
And, they got
and that was
sick.
like before me, and she was like, even then, like my boss was like, we all ran in just for the bartender. We could have gave a crap about the bottles in the mirror.
Yeah.
We don't care about that. Like
Yeah.
we all jumped in for the bartender. It wasn't like we were like, oh, please don't hit these. These are top shelf.
Yeah.
Not the great
Um,
news.
He's like, I have insurance for a reason. Don't care
Yeah.
about that stuff.
That made me think of a situation. We went to Missy's house a couple weeks ago for Delilah's birthday party. And I know it was destruction of property, but and that the mother in me said I would have probably spanked my child at that moment. But my 8-year-old grandson wanted to get into this little Tykes playhouse, and my 4-year-old granddaughter was inside, and she did get whacked with the door, but the way he did it with such style and finesse, it was when I heard about it, I wished that it was on video, because here he is, 8 years old. He walks up to the little Tykes house. He kicks the door in and says, "FBI, everybody freeze!" And the door
open up.
Oh, okay, whatever. But kicked the door in. It hit my granddaughter, and that was a bad thing, and he should have been punished for that. But I'm sorry, that tickled my heart.
And two, I think it was it Lyric who, I know she was in it, but was it her that right after that happened, she crawled out the side window?
Well, yeah, she-
I know.
FBI was coming in
And
crawling out the window.
and I knew she was
She
hurt.
doesn't belong to you.
And I knew she was hurt, and I was not laughing at that. I was just laughing at the whole fact that FBI opened up, and that she's like,
Well, she saw what goes on at Granny's house.
she's like, get out.
No, she hasn't been around for that stuff.
Oh yeah, that's true. She's only 4. That was 6 years ago. But well, we should probably let our listeners go. It's been almost 3 hours. But we did have an interruption there with our Wi-Fi, and I apologize for that. And I hope you all came back and caught part 2. It's
There's
been
been a lot of stuff going on.
oh yeah, it always is.
Longest
It's,
podcast in a while.
yeah, but I really had a good time talking tonight. You know, We
Talk
talked
about
about
relationships more often.
Yeah.
we talked about things that really mean a lot to my heart.
And you're gonna go pudgy.
Sit down, Pooh.
I didn't mean pudgy like that. You're not
You
fat.
should not.
I will not. If I'm not here next week,
Look for me. Look for me.
Look for the one oak tree. in
Call the
middle of field.
FBI.
Yeah. Look for the oak tree in the middle
I'll
of the
pull a
field.
weird. I'll jump out a window.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I wish the best for all my kids. I will not instruct them or advise them to get married. I do advise them all to sit down and get to know each other. And, if you don't like something about something, kind of keep that in a notebook in the back of your mind. And if it's something you can work through, go through it. If it's not something that you can work through and it's a deal breaker, get out while the getting's good, Think of your relationship now. Can you, if you're living together, can you live like that? Are they just putting on airs? Are you in the honeymoon stage? Are you?
My life then.
But
Are we supposed to get a honeymoon phase?
because like with Dad and I, we have to work at it every day.
And there's little things that are going to bother me,
Oh yeah, I'm not saying it has to be all sugar and
Yeah,
spice
it's
and
not
everything
all-
nice.
which is incredible.
It is. I got mixed up with housemaid.
Mine's more of a horror story.
Yeah. Cinderella, I guess. Should have specified how I wanted to be.
No, you're Snow White. You have your 7 dwarves. Tanner's one.
Well, last week when we it was the week before last when I had to take Dad to one of his doctor's appointments. And I looked over at him and he was borrowing my readers because he was looking something up on his phone. And I don't know. I was just taken aback and I was like, 45 years ago, did you ever imagine we'd be sharing reading glasses and going to each other's doctor's appointments? And having 8 kids? I never dreamed. I didn't even like kids until I had them. And then sometimes I still don't, but I love them. But there's a difference between liking your family or a loved one and liking them and loving them.
It's
No,
love.
if I don't like you, I don't love you.
It's love when they are with you through thick and thin. Worst news, health news,
Yep.
appointments, scans.
But I can love somebody and not like how they're behaving.
I can love a person, not their actions.
But
Yeah.
it's love when they are with you at your worst time,
Oh yeah.
right next to you. Holding your hand when you're nervous to go in, and blah blah blah. Going with you on trips up to Timbuktu.
Yeah.
And sitting at every appointment, every waiting room.
Yeah.
The moment you walk out the door, they're right there.
Well,
They just sat.
don't say that too loud because on the 12th, Wayne has an EKG and stress test. And it's 2 separate appointments. It's going to take like 4 hours long. I told him, I will walk you in. I will sit there and wait with you. But when you go into the testing, I can't go in.
Right.
I am not going to be sitting in a waiting room. I'm outside having a cigarette, nervously smoking.
I think I had someone's ear up to the door until I walked down and it's just right there.
See, I'm a smoker. I'm sorry. I have when I'm nervous, I have to have a cigarette.
And I even said, I'm like, go get a sandwich, wander around.
I
walked down, he was just
around Mayo Clinic. That place was 19 stories.
Well, I'm not going
high.
to wander around it. I know where I came in. That's where I'm going out.
It was so confusing. And you have to go through security to get in.
We had to do that at Freightert.
No, this is worse than me.
They
If
look,
you have a purse, they go
They-
through your
they
purse.
look-
Yeah, they went through my purse
they look,
at Freightert.
male looks,
Yeah, we had to walk through that beepy thing,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
they
those
went through my
connections
purse.
are-
Here's this lady, this African American lady. She's standing there going through my purse. I took my gun out and I left it at home. I forgot to take my 5 magazines of bullets out, and
Yeah, that's a little suspicious.
That's normal.
and she goes, nope, this has to go back out to your car. And the male one comes over and he's like, is there a problem? She goes, look at all these bullets. And I said, I left the gun at home. Dude was laughing his ass off. He goes, oh, I left my gun at home, but I brought my bullets. I said, what am I going to do? Throw them at you and be like, oh, pew, pew, I says, I'm harmless. I says, unless I would hold it up to your head with a hammer and pound it in.
Which
That's
that'll
why
do
I
something.
had-
And it could go either way. It could fire at me or it could fire
That's
at
why
you.
she's not allowed to breed on anybody.
No, I
She's
made
on the
Dad.
no-fly list.
Oh, and I had my 2 pocket knives in there. I forgot about. But I left my guns at home. But I made Dad walk my purse out to the car and put it in there, and I wasn't going through security again. Well, he had to take off his boots because he had steel-toe boots on.
Okay, that's a little far.
Your daughter wants you.
That's a little.
Mom's not being nice to me, by the way. It's
Oh, she was
Lola.
grounded.
Oh,
She had to run for very long.
uh-oh.
And she's immediately, oh my god, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean it. Oh my
I
god.
love how that's one of the first ones on Tanner's phone.
Yeah.
It's always the people that will drop anything in the world to help you that are true.
Yep.
And the people who will deal with your mood swings.
I don't have anything to offer you, but prayers. So I'm sorry.
Don't worry, I'm down too. You can go to doctor's appointments.
You both better knock it off and get healthy. Don't make me call in a witch doctor.
We're in that era of life where we feel organized.
Oh my god, I take
Morning and
I
afternoon
take 10.
pills.
I take 10 pills a day.
Well, now you might as well give everybody some of the details. Not everything. You don't have to tell them everything. But
Oh no, it's fine. I've gone through my emotions. I have can't say it. Don't know how to say it. It's PSC. Can't say the word.
Liver disease.
Yeah, it's a genetic liver disease that has no cure. So I'm on a current treatment plan that hopefully doesn't fix the problem, but if it gets down, can buy time before.
and
the
it keeps it
problem
under
comes.
control.
Yeah,
Because it lowers your alkaline phosphate level.
it'll never be gone, but it'll just basically
Manageable.
lower it down where it's manageable and give you more time before it comes back.
Because
So
this-
everybody that listens to this, I'm asking you to say special prayers for Ryan and his liver disorder, and that he lives a long, healthy, prosperous life.
this acid treatment has a 20 to 25% effectiveness rate. And if you're part of that 20 to 25%, it can lower your progression rate of disease to like 0.02%.
We'll tell them Ryan's levels. what-
Alkaline phosphate
That's all
last
I wanted to
time
know.
it's supposed to be between like 60 and 90.
Like 40, 60.
Yeah,
Okay.
so under 100.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to go through the whole finding out about the disease. The most recent alkaline phosphate level was 897.
Somewhere
Boys
around there.
booming.
I exceed.
And they said that once you hit 1,000, that's usually a very, very, very bad sign.
Yeah.
I never half-ass things.
But
He's an overachiever.
yeah. Oh, he also has an enlarged spleen.
Yeah.
I'm just putting all your dirty laundry out there.
And I'm talking about a guy who's 23 years old. You know, he's too young to be given an expiration date. So I'm asking right now that everybody, just take a moment and say a prayer for Ryan, please. And in Jesus' name. And he's a very nice guy that I have welcomed into my family. And I don't do that too freely.
I don't know who you're talking about.
I'm very particular about who I welcome into my family. And I don't know. In that, I think I'm going to wrap it up for the night. And I hope you guys join us next week, Wednesday. I'm trying to think of a really good topic for next week. And we'll all be here, God willing, and the creek don't rise. In the meantime, I hope you all have a great rest of your week and be nice to each other. Until next week, I'm signing off.